An entitled Karen demands that I give away all of my kids' toys to her son, all because he has autism, stating that I'm a terrible person for not giving it up, while also implying that I'm the reason he's having a meltdown in this very moment. Here's what happened. So ever since last year, I've been taking my 4-year-old daughter to the local splash pad to work on feeling more comfortable with the water and feeling better about playing with others. She has ADHD and sensory deficits, and going to the splash pad has been great for her socially and emotionally. Most parents at this local splash pad bring their own water buckets and squirters for the kids to play with, as well as other water toys that they might want to bring. And it's usually just some stuff from the dollar store. My daughter shares her toys with other kids at the splash pad regularly, and in turn, they will share their stuff and play together. Now, every time I've been there, I've had such a positive experience with the other parents, and they usually help guide the children into turn taking and help guide positive social emotional interactions. I've met some great parents and kids there, and have even met up again for some play dates. However, this afternoon, I had a really bad experience. Over the weekend, my daughter cashed in on her good job marbles for a Paw Patrol beach bucket with Sky on it, and she couldn't wait to bring it to the splash pad. Well, cue today, we bring this bucket along with a beach duffel bag that had all of our other water toys, snacks, and towels to the splash pad. Now, my daughter was playing in the splash pad and was filling up her Sky bucket with water when she noticed a boy, probably about 6 years old, grab her bucket and bring it to his siblings on the other side of the splash pad. My daughter then comes running up to me upset, and at the time, I'm thinking that maybe he doesn't recognize it belongs to her and thinks it just came with the park. So I figure in this moment it would be a good move to go over to those kids with my daughter and ask if they can all play together since it is her bucket, so she doesn't feel that something that belongs to her is getting taken away, and just turn it into a positive experience and the kid doesn't get embarrassed either. I mean, in my mind, this would be a win-win situation. Well, when my daughter asks if she can also play with her bucket, he screams angrily and literally throws it back to my daughter as he runs away in frustration. So I guess that didn't work like I planned, but I did get our bucket back, and my daughter was playing well for the next half hour with some other kids, catching water until she had to use the restroom. She put all of her toys back into our bag and we zipped it up so we did not leave anything out and about while we went to the bathroom. Anyways, when we get back from the restroom, my bag is not on my beach towel where I had left it, and instead I see it dumped over, snacks and all, on the other side of the splash pad, and that boy and his siblings are playing with all of the water toys. And he, of course, is prancing around with a Sky bucket. And honestly, I feel pretty ticked off because I felt like he was waiting for an opportunity to swipe it, and the fact that my whole bag was dumped out just felt so invasive, and even more so that it had been unzipped. My first thought is, where the F are the parents? I mean, no one seems to be watching at all. I was ready to leave at this point, so I approach the kids and I say, "Hey guys, can we please put away those toys? They belong to us and we're about to leave. We need to ask before taking things." The siblings comply and they put the stuff away, and my daughter tries to retrieve her bucket from the boy's hands, and he just goes, "No, it's mine. This is my bucket." I then just gently kept saying, "It's her bucket, buddy, and we're going to leave and she needs it back." And then he literally just starts running away again. So in that moment, I just run after him, I grab his hands to release his fingers off the bucket, which he had a serious grip on, and I then just gave it back to my child. And once I did that, he fully and completely melts down. This is when the mom finally appears with one of the siblings. She is pissed off and tells me to please not touch her child. I try to explain the situation, but she's honestly not even remotely sympathetic. She says to me, "The bucket's probably a freaking $1. Get over yourself." And at this point, I honestly start feeling pretty bad for this child. I mean, he is highly dysregulated, face first on the splash pad and banging his head into the splash pad foam floor, but the bucket was something my daughter cashed in on her good job marbles for. And it was something that she had worked hard for and she had earned. I just felt that it would have been a terrible lesson in boundaries to just give it away because someone was crying. All I said was, "Well, I can't give it away. It belongs to her." And I walked to the bench to gather the rest of my stuff. Now, the mom is trying very hard at this point to de-escalate her son and is getting frustrated at me. She then yells across the splash pad condescendingly, "This is why you don't bring toys to the splash pad, if you literally don't want to share them with others." I then hear her trying to bring another random mom into the situation saying, "Oh, he's autistic. He doesn't know better. Can you believe it? And now he's a mess. This is ridiculous. All over a dollar store bucket they won't let him use. Why even bring it if they don't want it being used?" And honestly, this was just so embarrassing. When I got to my car, I just cried. I've been having back and forth internal conflicts over the situation, and I feel like a total jerk because I did rip the bucket from his hands, and I know firsthand how hard autistic meltdowns can be, especially since this child appears to have zero impulse control or any kind of like regulatory skills. But on the other hand, my daughter is neurodivergent, just like me, and I've worked so very hard building these skills with her, and the bucket was symbolic of that, and I didn't feel comfortable just giving it away. If she truly wanted her child to have fun with the bucket, she should have been guiding his interactions limitations and not just let him run all over the place and do whatever he wants. Dude, that is so crazy to me. First of all, you're not watching your kids at a public space, like what's going on? But more than that, you're literally letting someone who needs guidance to go around and just steal things from other people. Like just straight up take someone's duffel bag, dump it out on the ground, grab the bucket that you want and be like, this is mine now. But it's like, dude, no, it's not. That is not how life works. And the fact that the mom's trying to be like, oh, it's just a bucket, it's not that big of a deal. If that's really how she feels, then she could have easily gone to the store and gotten one herself, instead of being like, oh, come on, let my kid rob you. It's fine, he's autistic. Which, by the way, is not an excuse. If he has difficulties in that way, then it's on the mom to try and manage that and to build the skills just like the original poster. So yeah, this is super stupid. I can't believe this woman acted like that. And the fact she tried to blame her poor parenting on you, in my opinion, is completely unacceptable. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My entitled ex-husband demands that I take the fall for a speeding ticket that he got, but instead of giving in to his obnoxious demands, I decided to get some revenge of my own by literally switching the ownership over to him just in time so that he's gonna get in trouble and I'm gonna walk away scot-free. Here's what's going on. Okay, so tonight I got a speeding ticket in the mall for a car I haven't touched in literally years. Now, the car I'm referring to is one that my ex-husband kept after we split up. And you know what? I just didn't care. I wasn't gonna fight him over it. But somehow our names both stayed on the registration because paperwork was apparently too hard for him. Now, I figured he would sort it out by now, but apparently not because the fine showed up in my name. I texted him and I said, hey, you got another speeding ticket. Then I immediately jumped online and I submit a transfer of liability because I haven't even looked at that car since the day he drove off with it. And that's when this man, the one who financially controlled me, treated me horribly emotionally, and made me feel smaller than small for years, has the audacity to ask if I'll take the points for him. He says he'll pay the fine and throw me some cash if I just lie and say that I was driving. And this is because he's on a good behavior license that ends in 5 days. And he never upgraded his to an open license like I repeatedly told him to. I mean, that's on him. Now, let me just be very clear. This is the same man who used to berate me when I had parking tickets, who told me to give up my car spot at work and take a 3-hour round trip on public transport, all while still expecting dinner, laundry, and emotional labor to be done when I got home, who watched me cry over money while he controlled every cent and told me that I was irresponsible. I paid off every one of my fines by myself. I budgeted, I sacrificed, and I got through it. And he made sure I felt like crap the entire time for it. And now he's the one who messed up and wants me to lie and carry the fallout for his bad decisions? But it's like, absolutely not. I'd already transferred the file before he even asked. I mean, it was done. But the audacity of it all has just completely triggered me really badly. And for a second, I felt guilty. Like maybe I was being difficult. Like maybe I should just help him out. But no, that's the same guilt he conditioned into me for years. This time, he wears the consequences of his own actions. So yeah, karma sucks, but at least this time, she showed up on a speeding ticket for the right person. Dude, good for you for standing up to this guy. He sounds like a massive bully. Like, seriously. You mean to tell me this jerk really was like, oh, could you please take the points for me? I don't want to get in more trouble. It's like, dude, you treated this lady like crap for so many years. You can't get away with this. Like, this is absolutely karma swooping in and being like, oh yeah, you're getting exactly what you deserve. So good for you, truly, for standing up and doing exactly what you need to do to protect your good name. Because this guy does not deserve to tarnish it all because of his bad mistakes. I agreed to live with my girlfriend of 6 months, but now she's pushing for a $4,000 New York City apartment that right now I simply cannot afford as I don't have a job. And even though I expressed this, my girlfriend is still giving me a hard time, making me wonder what I should do next. Here's what's going on. Before I graduated this May, my girlfriend of 6 months, who is an international student from China, agreed with me to live together in New York City for her next school year. Now, I agreed, but said I would need a full-time software engineering job first, and if I don't find one right away, I'll part-time being a server or something else just to cover rent. Well, she was excited and started apartment hunting right away, and she was imagining our life together. Well, it's now June and she's back in China for the summer and found a corner view apartment for around $4,200, which she said is a great deal. Her mom would cover half the rent and I would cover mine, but I don't have a job yet, and I've got no family support of any kind. I've been applying to about 100 jobs per day, with some interviews in progress. I told her I would work part-time if needed, but realistically, that's hard to balance while improving my skills for job hunting. When I hesitated, she said the apartment she just found would be gone soon and wanted to immediately sign the lease. I told her that I want to live with her, but I'm sure. What if I get a job outside of New York City? The tech market is bad for entry level right now, and I would take up just about any job that offered. Signing now could mean paying rent without even living there. She got upset and said that I would was only thinking of myself and not about where she would live if we don't get this place. But she does have friends who are willing to live with her. She said to me, "You say you've considered me, but your consideration is limited to what you think. That's not really considering me. You've put me in a position where everything revolves around you. I feel like I've already compromised. My mom is covering the guarantor fee, and I'm helping you job hunt, but you still can't make with this decision? You're not thinking about me enough." She then said we either sign now or she'll live with a friend and rethink our relationship. But it's then that it hit me hard. I realized that it feels like this relationship only survives if we are not long distance and living together. She said if I truly cared, I would just keep job searching until I find a role in New York City and reject non-New York City roles. She even said on call with her family on the background, able to hear the conversation, "Never dating a poor guy again." I then told her that I'm not poor and that my family just doesn't support paying for my rent if we already have a house here, and that I can do whatever I want once I get a job. Well, I caved in and said I would work part-time to cover rent while job hunting, and she would help out as well. But I told her this means I can't afford to treat her to the lifestyle that she wants, namely gifts and nice restaurants and stuff like that, until I get a tech job, since the part-time job will only be enough to cover rent. I also proposed an alternative. She lives with her friend this year, I stay with my family in New York City, work part-time with fewer hours, and then once I get an offer, I'll move in nearby, renting a cheaper studio so we would still be very close. Now, she said she's fine with it, but said that she would still be very disappointed in this relationship, saying that I'm not prioritizing on solving the issue by just working more to live with her. I'll be doing what she wants, but honestly, I feel really uneasy. Not just because of pressure, but because when things go wrong, she always makes it my fault. I'm starting to think like I'm sacrificing my own career, stability, and my self-worth just to hold things together. So how do I move forward with this without wrecking my career or completely losing myself? I've tried talking to her about this, but I may be too narrow in my thinking to convey properly to her. I mean, how can I improve our current relationship situation? What should I do? Dude, if you don't see the red flags in this, I don't know what to tell you. She literally said, "Oh, I'm never dating a poor guy again." And she's made it very clear that money and status and all this other stuff is really the only thing that's important to her. And that is really not fair for you. Like, if anyone's being selfish here, it's her. She is literally not thinking about you at all in this situation. And in my opinion, it kind of seems like she's getting ready to break up with you and go with somebody else. So yeah, this really sucks, and I'm sorry that you're going through this, but it really does seem like your girlfriend is super toxic, and I just don't think you deserve that in the slightest. My manager tries to sabotage my job by getting me fired for things I never did. So I decided to get some revenge by exposing him for the jerk that he truly is, giving him one final warning from human resources, and making me feel super satisfied for getting back at this entitled jerk. Here's how it went down. Okay, so I had worked security for about 4 years up until this point, and had recently picked up an overnight gate guard position while I was studying for school. Now, I suck at procrastination, and I figured this would leave me no excuse since I had to be awake. Well, after I got my license, I decided to work more days because I liked the job, and I worked a job for my degree during the day, and the security job at night, with me basically having 3 to 4 days off depending on the week. Well, the new post I worked at really didn't like that I had another job, nor that I made more than the supervisors. I always did my job, but I was told by 2 of the other guards that there was always some type of drama at this post, especially if they didn't like someone and somehow they ended up getting fired. Then one day it began. We had a set of keys that opened everything. One morning, a guard came to relieve me, let's call him Joe for the sake of the story, and he said that I could go. Joe then calls me 30 minutes later asking if I'd seen the keys. And then the co-supervisor, let's call him Mark, he calls me and says Joe said I could go and that it's the last time they had seen the keys. I usually get home in 15 minutes and pass out, so I was already completely out cold. I then called them back later in the day before my other job shift to inform them that I didn't have any of the keys that they were looking for. Well, then Joe changes the whole story and says that he didn't say that I could leave and that I apparently just left. But here's the thing, I had the voicemail as evidence of what he actually told Mark. But no matter what, apparently Mark was going to believe Joe because they worked together for 13 years. They later found the keys near the post that they were looking for, and one of them said I probably hired someone to put them there. And I just laughed because I genuinely don't have time for that. Anyways, they have this courtesy rule where they would like you to get to the post 30 minutes early to relieve the other guards and to go over anything that happened on your shift. And since I have my other job, I can only get there 15 minutes early, which is something I had already discussed with the head supervisor. And this is someone I will call Bob for the sake of the story. However, this was a real issue with Mark, and he had been telling Bob and any other guard that was willing to listen that it was a problem besides me. Ironically enough, Mark never makes it on time with this rule. He always shows up 20 minutes before the shift, and I know that because he relies on me for 2 of my shifts with Bob. So one weekend I picked up a shift because they needed a new guard, and I ended up only getting there 10 minutes before the shift started. And Mark comes into the post very angry. It was 5 minutes into this conversation where I knew I needed to start recording as he began cursing at me. Mark tells me to go home since I can't respect the courtesy, and then changes his mind once I told him I wasn't going to leave, as I figured he was going to turn it on me. Bob hears and asks what happened the next day, and I told him to believe what he wants to believe, since they only seem to want to believe each other. Well, it turns out that Mark told management that I freaked out on Mark and threatened to hit him. A day before they were planning to fire me, I walked into the main office and I told them I couldn't give them the recording as it is a two-party state, but I wanted them to listen to the conversation. Immediately after hearing it, the human resources woman apologized to me, saying that she couldn't believe that was him. You know, since she had never heard him talk like that, and she even offered me to stay. But I respectfully declined since I knew I was going to get a new post closer to my house. And instead of me getting any type of reprimand, Mark ended up getting a final warning. Now, my new post was amazing, by the way, with no drama, and I ended up quitting to find a better opportunity. I also made sure to make Bob aware with a note that Mark had been lying for years that he had lived 30 minutes away, which was his excuse for not living up to this courtesy arrival time. But it honestly feels good to get back at Mark because this guy absolutely deserved it. Dude, I can't stand when you've got managers who are literally just working against you because they don't like you. You haven't done anything wrong, you're literally just doing your job and trying to make rent. I would even argue that the original poster was probably completely normal and just a functioning member of the team, and they were at least neutral and pleasant to be around, just like you would with any other job. So the fact that these people were actively trying to work against you, like, this is so annoying. I would be so frustrated dealing with that because I've been in that situation before. You're doing everything right, but it's still never enough for these people. So good for you for getting your revenge on Mark and getting him his final warning, because this guy sounds like a jerk and he absolutely deserves it in my opinion. Am I the jerk for not letting my friend borrow my car after she literally returned it to me full of junk and with a scratch on my back bumper? Here's how it's all going down. I'm a 27-year-old female and I have a decent used car that I worked really hard to pay off. It's nothing fancy, but it runs well and I take really good care of it. I have regular maintenance, I keep it clean, I don't smoke in it, there's no trash left inside of it, etc. I've always been a little protective of it because I rely on it every day for work. Well, a few months ago, my friend, let's call her Sarah for the sake of the story, asked me if she could borrow it for a weekend trip because her car was in the shop. Now, I hesitated but said yes because we've been friends for years and I really wanted to help. Well, she returned it 2 days later and there was literally less than a quarter of tank of gas left in it. And by the way, I had filled it up before I gave it to her. There were fast food wrappers in the back seat. There was dirt all over the passenger floor. And the cherry on top is that there's a mysterious scratch on the back bumper that she swore was already there, which by the way, it definitely wasn't. I didn't say much at the time because I hate confrontation, but I was honestly super pissed off, especially because I expected more out of someone who I am friends with. Flash forward to this week, and she texted me asking if she can borrow my car again for a different trip. But you know what? This time I told her no. I said it very politely, and I just said that I wasn't comfortable loaning it out anymore. Well, she seemed to have gotten really upset with me and was saying things like, "Oh, are you sure you can't just help me out? I feel like that's what friends would do for each other." And it really seems like she's trying to guilt trip me in some kind of way. Now, I responded initially, but I'm now waiting to reply to her. But now I'm getting messages from another mutual friend saying that I'm being too uptight and that it wouldn't kill me to help her out for just this once. I feel like I'm being guilt tripped for setting a boundary after already being taken advantage of once. So am I the jerk for refusing to let her borrow my car again? Because right now I really don't know what to do. No way, you're not the jerk at all, dude. This lady sucks. She literally got your car super dirty and she scratched the back of it. Like, are you kidding me? If you're gonna borrow someone's car, dude, you gotta take care of it. You can't let it get disgusting and then be like, well, that was already there, sorry. And I love the fact that she's trying to be like, oh, but this is what friends would do. I can't believe you. We're like friends. How can you like not do this for me? And it's like, yeah, of course, whatever. But also, hey, friends don't destroy other people's stuff. They take care of it and they treat it like their own. So yeah, this lady sucks and you're definitely not the jerk. And the fact that she's trying to like guilt trip you over this is insane in my opinion. My dad is always going on vacations with his new wife and his stepson, but I literally never get invited, leaving me feeling incredibly jealous and very jaded. Here's what's going on. I'm a 26-year-old female, and for a bit of context, I lost my mom when I was 20 years old. My dad and I were pretty close during my childhood and the year or two after losing my mom, but he decided to get remarried and moved away. He made me move out of our house with only 30 days notice so that he could move 6 hours away and live with her. Now, she's a nice lady and she has a son who's almost 10 years younger than me, who is a respectful guy. And honestly, they are not a problem. It's just my dad that I really have an issue with. Ever since he moved, I've made the effort to visit him, but he honestly just doesn't seem that interested in paying attention to me anymore. He is retired and he has no commitments when I visit, but instead of hanging out with me, he will just go see her during her workday so that they can have lunch together. Even the first Christmas I visited, I asked him about watching the Christmas movies that we all used to watch together every year, and he said he already watched them with his stepson and wife. The next year I visited him and we got into this huge argument about me not texting him back soon enough, but he literally chewed me out until I was crying and hyperventilating, and it just seems so excessive. He pays my phone bill still and nothing else, and when he gets mad at me, he just shuts my phone off. The straw that has really broken my back though is the constant lavish vacations that he takes with his new family, and he just never invites me or even bothers to tell me about it. I told him after his last trip that I wish he would invite me sometimes, even if I can't go, because it just sucks finding out about all their family travel on his wife's Facebook. Of course I get jealous sometimes of him and his wife being on trips together, but it only really bothers me when they have the son with them. I feel so left out, and anytime I try to talk to him about my feelings, he completely shuts me down. So, are my feelings an overreaction? I want to be happy, and I know I'm an adult, and he shouldn't be responsible for me anymore, but how can I deal with feeling like I'm not part of his family anymore? What should I do? Honestly, I don't think you're overreacting, because it does kind of seem like your dad kicked you to the curb and is like, okay, see you later. It's also super concerning because when he gets pissed off at you, he just shuts your phone off. And I don't know about you, but that's really messed up. Like, that doesn't seem right at all. So no, you're not overreacting, and I think if I was in your shoes, I would have the same reaction. My crazy entitled mother-in-law demands that she wear a white dress at my wedding while also requesting I wear anything else, claiming that because she didn't get to experience a wedding, she deserves the right to walk down the aisle and feel what it's like. But after I found out that my fiance is somehow okay with this plan, I put my foot down and I told him that is absolutely not gonna happen. And now at this point, I'm thinking I might need to call off the wedding because I seriously do not know what to do. Here's what happened. So have you ever seen I Love a Mama's Boy? Well, that's my life basically. I'm a 27-year-old female, and I've been with my fiance, who we will call John, ever since high school. We dated and broke up because his mother, who we will call Debbie, convinced him that we were too young to be in love. So we broke up and went to college. During my sophomore year, we started talking on socials again. He apologized and said that he missed me, and eventually we got back together. Well, cue the waterworks. Debbie literally cried the first time she saw that we were back together and told John that I have done witchcraft on him. I've always respected Debbie out of respect for my mother and upbringing, and I was not raised to go back and forth with my elders, but she definitely messes with that. Since John and I decided to get back together, she has tried to hook him up with women from her church, as well as her job, and even asked her friends for their daughters to give it a shot. John denies all of them, and Debbie says that I'm controlling. John has also told her to stop, but not in a way that I feel gets the point across. Anyways, 3 months ago, John proposed, and of course, Debbie didn't come to the engagement party, and it's like, cool, whatever. She also didn't come to the family dinner so we could have both sides meet each other, but fortunately, John's dad did come, and he apologized for his ex's behavior. And yes, he left her when John graduated high school, but when John's dad did that, I told him don't worry about it. Now, the problems really began when John decided to confront his mother about how she's behaving towards our whole engagement. This turned on the light bulb in his brain, as he's always tried to ignore it and tell me to ignore her. She gave him some kind of sob story about how she got pregnant with him before marriage, and she never really got to have a wedding, and that this is so triggering for her. And for reference, she basically had a forced wedding at the courthouse. He then asked her what she needed to feel comfortable, and she responded that if she wore a white dress at my wedding, and if I wore some kind of pink or lavender dress, only then would she feel comfortable. Now, my fiance for some reason thought that this was a fair compromise. He also said, and not asked me by the way, that his mom could walk me down the aisle so that she can get her moment in her dress. But I told him absolutely not. We then got into an argument about it. I told him that it is absolutely insane that he would argue with me to defend his mom's honor, but wouldn't do the same the other way around. He accused me of being petty and selfish. I mean, this was really bad. We both agreed to cool off, but by how heated it got, I could tell we both almost agreed to call it off. Well, right now we're in a weird space, and I love John, but I now see how much he lets her impact our life. I just imagine her sitting at home with this evil grin, knowing that she's ruining my relationship with John, and he's just putty in her hands. At this point, I think I should just call off the wedding, because right now I really don't know what to do. Dear God, your fiance is absolutely delusional. This is not a compromise. His mom is literally trying to be some kind of like pretend bride at your wedding. Like, this is some crazy level of narcissism. It's not even funny. And the fact that she's trying to be like, oh, this is how I can feel better. If your wife wears something besides white at her own wedding, I'll feel good about it. It's like, what are we talking about? If she wants to have some kind of moment of walking down the aisle in a dress, she can do that on her time and her dime. So the fact that your fiance is like, oh, come come on, this is just to help her out. Like, that is crazy to me, and that is absolutely unacceptable. Like, seriously, who in their right mind would be okay with this? Their stupid mom is being like, oh man, I should wear white at your wedding, not your bride-to-be. But it's like, do you hear yourself right now? Why on earth is John agreeing to this? So truly, I hope this all works out for you, and I really hope John sees the light of day, because his mom sounds like an absolute psychopath. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for telling my mom that she'll regret picking her husband over her children? Because after my mom practically abandoned her entire family, she's now justifying it by saying that we never appreciated her when she was there. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 23-year-old female, and my husband moved in with my mom over the summer to help my mom with her bills and to help take care of my 3 younger siblings. The main reason for this move was because I did not want her to get back with her boyfriend that she had been dating on and off for the past 7 to 8 years. Not long after we moved in, she starts talking to him again after repeatedly telling me that she was never going to get back together with him. She then goes on to marry him, and since then has taken on this mentality that she is his wife and has responsibilities towards him. So she has to be with him 24/7, which in turn meant to me and my siblings that we would see her less because he does not live with us. Ever since she got married, she goes directly to him after work, and the only time my siblings see her is in the mornings when she takes them to school. I mean, she's not even home during the weekends. Recently, this past weekend, my mom and I ended up arguing over text messaging because my siblings missed their mom and they wanted to see her. She then chooses to, instead of coming to see her kids, to call them and tell them that she is too busy to see them and that when she was there, all they ever did was play video games. But now that she's with her husband, they suddenly miss her and they want to spend all this time with her. This made my siblings very sad, which naturally made me step in and tell her off. I told her that she can't be serious right now and that obviously her children are going to miss her. That even though they might have a roof over their heads and food, that doesn't mean they still don't need their mother's presence more than just a few minutes in the morning when they're going to school. I told her she can't seriously be picking a man that has literally shown he does not care about her over her children who do love her. She responded by telling me the same thing she told my siblings, that when she was with us, my siblings didn't appreciate her and that they just spend their time playing video games. And I'm like, be for real, you're resenting them as if they're not literal children. Like, where's that energy with that man that has literally done nothing good for us? She then tries to guilt trip me by being like, oh, so I'm a bad mom now? Okay, that's fine, you'll regret your words one day. She then hangs up on me and refuses my calls. She then texts my sister telling her that she's not going to talk to me anymore. So I texted her. I told her the one who's going to regret her words is you, and you'll be sorry for picking a man over your children. The day you learn to not put a man on a pedestal is the day that you will get your blessing. It's a serious mental problem to be so attached to a man. I said that I love her, but I know she's not okay by doing what she's doing. Well, as a result, she's now no longer talking to me and only contacts my siblings. So am I the jerk for giving my mom a much needed reality check? Because right now I don't know what to do. Oh man, your mom absolutely needed to hear all of this. She seriously is sitting there and being like, wow, you guys never appreciated me. When I was there, all you did was play video games. And it's like, yeah, lady, these are kids you're talking about. They're gonna want to play games and, like, I don't know, relax after school. Just because they're doing that doesn't mean that they don't love you. And also, that's a horrible cop-out. She's literally trying to be like, wow, you guys never appreciated me, and now I'm gone and you're trying to act like you actually care? Like, what is she talking about? She does know that she's their mom, right? So to answer your question, no, you're absolutely not the jerk. Your mom needed to hear this because her behavior, in my opinion, is completely atrocious. I feel as though my girlfriend is using me for money, as I have literally spent thousands of dollars on her in the 7 months that we've been dating, because right now I feel very taken advantage of, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my girlfriend and I have been dating for about 7 months now, and ever since the beginning, she set expectations that I need to pay for everything. We're talking meals, gifts, trips, etc., which at the time I agreed to. Well, here's where things kind of get weird. At one point, we separated after a big fight. When we got back together a week later, she wanted me to meet her at the mall. After a long discussion, she said to me, every time you mess up, the price of admission gets higher. I asked her what she meant, and she said to me, how about we go shopping around the mall? In the end, I spent over $500 buying her a new designer brand wallet, expensive chocolates, and a high-end dinner. I know her love language is primarily gift-giving and acts of service, so I figured that this was a way of showing that I cared about her. Now, I say all of this because I feel like I've been very generous with her, and I am feeling a bit weird about all of it. Well, a few months ago, my sister invited my girlfriend to join join our family trip to the Philippines this February. I told my girlfriend that this would be a great opportunity for her to meet my parents and spend time with us as a family. I offered to pay for her ticket as a gift since her birthday is right before the trip. Well, a month later, during a brief breakup, my girlfriend shot me some very fiery text messages that I also relayed to my sister. My sister was very upset, and when we got back together, I told her that my sister wasn't happy with how she treated me, among other things. My girlfriend then went off by saying, "Your sister looks like a dog, so screw your sister. She is a fake feminist." Now, I figured she was just angry, so I didn't take it to heart. But after that, it was clear the two of us didn't like each other. Well, this week, she told me that she wouldn't forgive my sister, and I told her I'm not sure they could reconcile in time. Then I told her that I wouldn't be here for Valentine's Day since I would be going on the family trip. She then shot me an angry look. I said to her, "What's wrong?" She said to me, "I thought you were going to gift me a ticket to the Philippines for my birthday." But I just said, "What? You said you hate my sister. Why would you want to go on a trip with her?" She said to me, "I wouldn't, but we could have worked something out. You could have flown me out after your family thing, and we could have spent a week exploring." But I said to her, "The point of giving you a ticket was to spend time with my family and for you to meet my parents. Plus, I spent a couple $1,000s on you in these past few months in jewelry, gifts, and other things. And that would be a lot from my budget right now, especially since she would expect me to pay for everything on the trip." My girlfriend then accused me of being financially irresponsible, that I don't understand what a partnership is because I made this decision without her. She then canceled our Christmas plans together, and I was really hurt. She said to me, "See, it doesn't feel so nice to have something you're looking forward to canceled, does it?" Right now, all of this feels really petty and mean, and I honestly feel like I'm being used. What should I do? Man, I gotta be honest, if you don't know what to do right now, then I don't think you ever will know. Because if I was in your shoes, this would be a deal breaker. There's no way on planet Earth I would ever go along with someone treating me like this and talking about my family and the way that your girlfriend was talking about your sister. Never mind the fact that she is literally squeezing you for money, but also the audacity for her to attack your sister after she found out the way that your girlfriend's been talking to you. Like, this is nasty across the board, and you do not deserve this. So hopefully you can come to understand that this lady is using you for money. She doesn't care about you or your family at all, and she's only trying to get as much out of you that she can. And if you really can't see that, then unfortunately, you deserve to learn the hard way. Am I the jerk for not defending a girl I barely know after she was kicked out of the friend group for asking to be paid for something that I already basically paid her back for? Because right now, I kind of feel guilty, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 21-year-old female, and I have a group of about 6 friends. And 2 months ago, a new girl who we will call Jane was introduced to the group. For context, one thing our friend group does is trade services. For example, I'll do one of my friend's nails for free, and she'll do my hair for free when I need it done in the future. And we generally try to keep the trades within the same price range. For example, if my hair costs $60, I'll trade doing nails for about $60 to $70. And anything over $10 is usually paid on top of the free service. To be clear, there is zero obligation to do these trades, and to my knowledge, no one has ever been pressured into one. It's all about favors and doing nice things for your friends. Anyways, Jane joins the group about 2 months ago and immediately started asking about my nails. At one point, she says she can't afford to get hers done right now, so I asked her if she wanted to do a trade. For reference, Jane makes her own t-shirts, clothing, and accessories. Well, the nails I ended up doing for her cost about $160. When it was my turn to pick clothes and accessories out, I ended up leaving about $70 worth. I told her not to worry about paying me back for the extra $90, and all in all, I thought it was a good experience, and I got to talk to Jane one-on-one, so it was really fun. Well, that is until this recent Wednesday. I get a text from Jane apologizing, saying she realized she can't afford to just give away $70 worth of her stuff, and that she needs me to pay her back as soon as possible, or she needs the stuff back. At first, I'm really confused, because I could not have been more clear about how the trades work, and I never forced her into one. I apologized back to her, but I said I didn't have some of the smaller items, as I planned to gift them to my sister for her birthday. Jane then kept telling me to just pay her back, and I said that I would when I get paid from my job. But the issue then became her texting. She went to our group chat to complain to everyone about me not paying her for the clothes that she gave me. She ended up letting it slip that it was a trade, and everyone told her that she can't back out of the deal weeks after it happened. She ended up going on TikTok to complain about how I stole from her and that I'm refusing to pay her back. And in response, she was eventually kicked out of the friend group. However, now the friend group is split. Half say that I should have just paid her as she does seem to be genuinely struggling, while the other half say that I'm under no obligation to pay her due to the agreed terms of the trade. The first group think that I'm kind of a jerk jerk, and Jane definitely thinks that I am. So truly, am I in the wrong here? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, honestly, I don't think you did anything wrong, because it seems like what you're doing is very specific to your group. And from the sounds of it, you explained it really well. You said, hey, we're gonna trade and you're gonna get something out of this, and so am I. So for her to swing back by and be like, actually, I kinda need that money like as soon as possible, so if you could pay me back, that would be great. It's like, I'm sorry, that's not how this works, and no, I'm not gonna pay you back. So in my opinion, I wouldn't pay her a single dime because the way she's acting is so stupid, especially considering the fact that she knew how these trades work in the first place. Am I the jerk for not inviting my friends to go skiing with me after I told them I was going by myself so that I could practice and build up my skills so that I could keep up with them? Because right now they're really offended that I didn't invite them to my practice sessions. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 20-year-old female and I am a beginner skier. I started skiing about 2 days ago with a day pass. I did about 4 days last season, and this is my first year with a full season pass. I also bought some decent used skis to make it worth the cost. I go to school in Colorado, so I can easily drive up to ski for a day and then come back to sleep at home. For context, I'm confident on green runs, and I can handle blues without much issue. However, I'm not skilled at tricks, and the one time my friends took me on a short black diamond, I was terrified. I just recently figured out the difference between parallel turns and carving, and I've almost mastered hockey stopping, but I still lack confidence in that skill. Well, this is where I might be the jerk. Sometimes I don't invite my friends when I go skiing. Skiing with them can feel intimidating because they're so much better than me, and I feel pressure to keep up or tackle harder trails that I'm not ready for. I hate feeling like I'm holding them back or risking my life on trails they prefer. When we do ski together, they typically leave me towards the end of the day to tackle harder runs while I enjoy some peaceful time working on greens or easier terrain. So this season, I decided to ski solo more often to practice and build my skills and confidence. This way, when I do go with them, it's more fun for everybody. And you know what? It's been working. I've improved a lot and recently invited them to ski, and they were surprised at how much better I had gotten. I'm still no professional, but I was keeping up with them much better than usual, and I even tried some small jumps in the terrain park, though I still fall sometimes. They asked me how I'd improved, and I explained that I had been skiing on my own to practice. Well, they got upset that I didn't invite them to join me on those practice days. I tried to explain that those days were just for repetitive drills on greens and small parks, and I didn't want to feel judged or pushed to advance faster than I was comfortable with. Well, the car ride home was really tense, and for context, I'm the main driver for our group since I have the only car that can fit everyone and the gear. Others have a car that can make the trip, but not with everyone and the gear, so mine is the go-to. And while the silence isn't unusual, it definitely felt awkward this time. So now I'm wondering if I was wrong for not inviting them to join me on my solo ski trips, even though those days were specifically for personal practice. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, I don't think you're the jerk at all. You described it perfectly. You literally only did those so that you could practice and try to keep up with your friends. You weren't trying to intentionally leave anybody out. You were doing that so that you could practice and improve on your own. Because I totally understand where you're coming from. I've participated in hobbies where my friends were significantly better than me. They knew exactly what they were doing, and I felt like I was holding them back. So the fact that you went solo to try and work on your skills, just so you can better keep up with them, in my opinion, is not a shot at them. It doesn't mean you don't want to go skiing with them, because obviously you do. That's the whole reason behind why you're practicing, so you can go on those harder trails with your friends and not feel left behind. So no, you're not the jerk for not inviting them, because in my opinion, I think you did the right thing by trying to develop your skills. Am I the jerk for not inviting a girl from my college to a museum trip with me and my friends? Because right now she's saying that I did a very callous and cruel thing to her, stating that she deserved to go and that if I was a good friend, I would have invited her in the first place. But right now I feel really guilty and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 20-year-old female currently attending university. I'd like to think that I'm pretty well liked on my course, and I know and speak to a big amount of people. One of those people we will call Mary. Mary is a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, especially BBC's Sherlock. In fact, she had a picture of Martin Freeman as her lock screen for a long time. It's something that we bonded over, as I saw one of her projects was Sherlock based and we got talking. We've known each other for about 2 or so years now, but we're the sort of friends you only see or speak to inside of university. I've never hung out with her one-on-one or even outside of the school, and we also don't really message either. I moved to London for university, and my friends from my hometown were coming up for a concert, so obviously we decided to hang out for that day. They're also big fans of Sherlock Holmes, so we decided to buy tickets to the Sherlock Holmes Museum at 221B, and it was a lot of fun. We took a lot of photos while we were in there, And so, a few days later, I made a post on Instagram, and I didn't think anything of it at all. I saw that Mary had liked the post and thought that we'd be able to talk about it the next time I saw her, but that was it. Well, I come to the studio next time, and Mary was super off with me. Even the other people I was around noticed and asked what was up, but she refused to speak to anybody. Eventually, someone got it out of her that she was really upset that I went to the museum without her, that she loves it there, and I know it's something that she would have wanted to do. She said it was extremely rude, and it made her feel left out and excluded. I tried to explain that I went with friends from home, and that I was sorry if I upset her, but she just kept saying that it was a callous and mean thing to do and ended up going home early. Now, at this point, I'm just confused. I don't think I've done anything wrong. We've never hung out before, and why would I invite someone from my course who I only kind of know, especially when I get to see it with my home friends? Also, is it as crazy as I think it is for her to expect me to invite her along just because it's something Sherlock Holmes themed? Because right now, I'm incredibly confused and I really don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all. You were going with close friends. These are people from your hometown, and it's people that you have a history with. It would be way different if this was like a group from college and you were like, okay, let's go see this attraction or whatever. Like, if that were the case and there was some kind of like group from college going to this thing, then yes, absolutely invite her. She would be the #1 pick that you could think of that would enjoy this type of thing. But that literally is not what happened. You were with friends from your hometown, and these friends, by the way, are people that she doesn't know at all. So either she's just being incredibly obnoxious about this and is choosing to be offended over this in some kind of way, or she just really wanted to be a third wheel in this group setting. But either way, in my opinion, I don't think you did anything wrong. Like, you even said it yourself, you're not very close with her, so for her to act like this is some kind of massive callous thing to do, in my opinion, is a massive overreaction. It's like, lady, I don't even know you that well. We've never met up outside of college, and I've only spent time with you in class. Who in the world are you to act like I have any obligation to you in the slightest? And I can't stand people who act this way, where they believe just because they're not invited to something, that then somehow means that you just don't like them. Because that's insane. That is such an overstretch, it's not even funny. So if Mary wants to act weird, then truly she can act weird in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, you have no obligation to this lady, especially if she's gonna act this entitled over something so small. An entitled old jerk yelled at my sister, who is dying from cancer, that she needs to stop faking it and get out of her wheelchair. And I'm honestly still shaken up by this incident, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I have a sister who was diagnosed with cancer in 2019, and it has been a very long road. She received a transplant and has GVHD. It's been incredibly difficult to watch her get frail and lose mobility. She can't work and spends the majority of her time at the hospital getting treatments. Well, she called me to share that her favorite group from Europe was having a rare concert in the state that I live in and that I should go. So I flew her out and I invited our other sister to join us. She called to tell me a few weeks prior to her trip that she can't walk across a room anymore and she is very weak. But I made every accommodation that I could for her. This is a big deal and she has a tendency to downplay how sick she is. When I picked them up from the airport, I barely recognized her. She told us that night that she thinks this is the end of her life and she's now looking at palliative care. This was the last time she would be physically able to travel and that we would be able to do one of our girls' trips. She even needs help to get out of a wheelchair. We went to the concert and the venue was very small and intimate and it was not ADA compatible. There were no handicap parking spots or elevators or designated spots for wheelchairs. I found her a spot behind the last row just to the side of the hallway and I grabbed 2 small chairs for us. There are 2 entrances about 30 feet apart from each other and it takes less than a minute to exit the theater and walk around to the other entrance. Well, we were talking when some old entitled jerk started yelling at me to move out of his way. He was ramming his walker into my folding chair repeatedly. I told him we can't move because she's in a wheelchair and there's no place for her to go without being in the flow of traffic. But he continues to violently ram my chair and yells loudly, "Oh, she's faking it. Tell her to get her fat butt up and move." But I responded calmly by saying she can't get out of the wheelchair. Please turn around and use the exit and come in the other door. He then yells and rams my chair even harder. "I'm the one in the wheelchair with a disability and not her. Move out of my way." By this time, both of my sisters are aware of what's happening. My one sister climbs over the wheelchair and tries to back it up, but she can only move back about 4 inches. He then screams at me, "Move your lazy butt and stop making life harder for a poor old man." Now, I cannot easily get out as he's blocking the only viable exit, and he's running his walker repeatedly into my chair. I mean, I was afraid he was going to hit me, so I climbed over both folding chairs in my high heels and my sister in her wheelchair. But he keeps ramming the empty chair and making a scene. The area is so narrow that it's barely wide enough for his walker, so there is no way he can can get by unless he wants to move the chairs, and we would have to completely exit the venue. He continues on with his tantrum, then starts demanding that I go find his wife because she will know what to do. And she's just on the other side of the aisle from my sister, and she's completely ignoring him. Well, he then abruptly stops. He turns around and in less than a minute is next to his wife. Meanwhile, all three of us are really shaken. So many people, including the ushers, witnessed this, and still nobody helped us out. I was so angry and shaking, and it honestly took me a long time to calm down because the way we got treated was absolutely unacceptable. You are a stronger person than me because I think I would go to jail if somebody did that to me. There's no way I would ever respond well to that kind of treatment. Like seriously, this is absolutely uncalled for and so toxic. First of all, why does the venue not have handicap accessibility? Isn't that like illegal or something like that? I'm pretty sure there's laws against that. The fact that you had to find some like corner next to the exit just to have any spot to sit, like that is crazy and there is no good excuse for that, especially a venue that has concerts. But also, this guy was completely out of line. Like he was ramming into your chair like an idiot. Like screw that guy, you're trying to spend time with your sister who's probably gonna die soon. So honestly, I'm so sorry that happened to you. You didn't deserve that in the slightest because that guy was completely out of line. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for disinviting my sister-in-law to my Christmas gathering and for refusing to invite her back after she made some awful comments about me? Because right now I'm being accused of causing unnecessary drama, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'm a 26-year-old female, and my boyfriend, who we will call Alex, has a sister who we will call Sally. Alex and I recently moved in together, so we thought it would be good to host Christmas there as a housewarming. All those invited were Alex's parents, Sally, my parents, my brother's wife, and my two nieces. Sally's best friend, who we will call Mary, was also going to come by for a while, as her family lives quite far away, and I have met and hung out with Mary a few times. Anyways, Sally and I got into a stupid argument. We both have tattoos and piercings. I also have stretched ears, and I no longer wear them. I like a lot of metal and rock music, but no longer dress as gothic or dark as I used to. But Sally is quite gothic, and she has numerous facial and ear piercings. I used to have the same, but took them all out a couple of years ago, but recently just put my nose ring back in. I have a single piercing, but I put a ring in that is a double ring, but on one piercing, if that makes sense. I just really like the look of it, and I thought that it suited me. Sally, on the other hand, has two proper nose piercings, with both rings in one nostril. When I met up with her, she noticed my piercing and asked if I got a new one, and I said no. But then she got really weird and quite mean by stating to me, and I quote, "Why in the world are you wearing a fake double nose ring? You're just being a poser. I actually went and got it done properly." She said some other comments saying it really didn't suit me, and I would be better off going back to being a pretend happy person. It actually really hurt my feelings, and I don't know where it came from. It was like she was gatekeeping a certain way of looking. She has made some comments before about me dressing in color, etc., rather than all black and still liking metal, and said before that I don't fit into the metal group. And the last comment also felt like a dig at my mental health. Putting my nose piercing back in actually boosted my self-esteem, as I've struggled to accept how I look due to severe depression. When I went back home, I told Alex what happened, and he called Sally, and she tried to play the whole thing off as a joke, and said that it's not her fault I'm too weak to handle sarcasm. She then just kept laughing about it, and didn't even attempt to apologize. Well, I've decided I no longer want Sally over for Christmas if all she wants to do is humiliate me, and Alex agrees. He texted saying that she is no longer welcome if she is going to be like that, and when he did that, things really went through the roof. She has thrown a colossal temper tantrum, saying that we are targeting and excluding her, and yet she hasn't once offered an apology. I told my in-laws about it, and they seem to think that I should be the bigger person and say that I probably took the comment the wrong way, which trust me, I definitely didn't. They say I'm causing unnecessary drama and that Christmas is for the family. My family are in my side, saying what's the point in inviting someone over who can cruelly mock my appearance and try to pass it off as a joke. And my family also mentioned a good point that my in-laws didn't. Sally made a cruel comment about my mental health, and that honestly is not okay. So am I the jerk for uninviting Sally to my Christmas party? What should I do? No, you're definitely not the jerk because this kind of behavior is so inappropriate. If someone's gonna be toxic towards you and treat you like garbage, then in my opinion, they have no obligation to be around you. And I seriously don't care what the occasion is. So no, in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk for uninviting Sally because her behavior, in my opinion, would have made things incredibly awkward. And that is not something that you should ever be expected to put up with. An entitled Karen loses her mind after she misses the cutoff to buy beer beer at my grocery store. Here's what happened. So while I was working at a grocery store some years ago, there was this one particular incident that happened on a day that I was not working myself. However, I came there to shop. Now the laws here make it so that the sale of alcohol is forbidden after 8 o'clock p.m. So the store would cover up the beer aisle and the fridges. I came in the store at about 7:55 p.m. and the incident happened from here. A woman comes into the store with a shopping cart and sees that my colleague is about to start covering the alcohol but says nothing and just grabs a 6-pack of beer. As the woman made her way around the store to the register, I was at self-checkout minding my own business when I heard someone yelling. She started screaming, "Why did you close the alcohol sale so early? I was here 7 minutes before. You need to scan it right now." For reference, she had bought a 6-pack of beer, which by the way won't scan in now no matter what, since it was now 8:03 p.m. "I was here before it closed. Let me buy it right now, you stupid jerk." Although trust me, she didn't say jerk. My colleague at the register got more and more tilted and started talking back, and I'm not sure what he said since he was much quieter. But then suddenly this woman starts addressing other customers. She starts screaming out, "I was here before 8 o'clock, so I should be able to buy this, right?" Well, if you could insert a cricket noise, this would be the right time to do it. She then pays for some stuff and then runs outside the store entrance and calls somebody. Now I'm on my way out of the store at this point, and I hear her screaming, "Check the clock, I was here early. These idiots told me it was closed, but it was early." Then she finally goes back inside and screams at my colleague, "You are an absolute idiot and such a jerk." And I'm not sure what happened afterwards as I was on my way home, but clearly this lady's alcoholism was so bad that she had to make a fool of herself in front of everybody. Yeah, this is a classic case of she wasn't on time, so this is now everybody else's fault. Here's the thing, if she ran in there and bought it really quickly before it hit 8 o'clock, she could have bought her stuff and then gone about with her life. But the fact that she's trying to freak out on the employee, who has probably no control over how this is sold, that in my opinion is so uncalled for. She has no right to treat someone like that, and I honestly just can't stand customers who act this way. Am I the jerk for skipping Thanksgiving to avoid my cousin's fiance after he treated me so poorly last year? Because right now I'm getting guilt tripped so hard by my aunt and uncle that I really feel like I might be in the wrong. Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm very close with one of my cousins, but I'm not a big fan of her fiance. They've been together for 5 years, and at family events he's either a total grump or he's drunk, or sometimes he's even both. On Thanksgiving night, my family always has the Charlie Brown Christmas movie on in the background after dinner, and this is our way to kick off the holiday season. The volume is almost at 0 and it's just on in the background. We don't sit around and actively watch it. Well, 2 years ago he complained about it being on, even though it's not even loud, and the football games had already ended when we put it on. Last year he showed up drunk and he was pretty belligerent and was slurring his words. He then immediately started being rude to my cousin when she tried to give him water instead of beer, and he complained about the movie so much that we changed it, even though he was in the kitchen and it was playing in another room. After an hour, I went back and I put on Charlie Brown because I love watching it, and he wasn't paying attention, so I thought he wouldn't notice. I moved the TV controller under a pillow so he couldn't change it again, and when he realized it was back on, he freaked out and started yelling for somebody to change it. Now, no one said anything, but some of my family members were looking in my direction. He then full-on yells at the table I'm at and tells me that I need to turn the stupid movie off. Well, one of my brothers got up and told them that they need to leave, and he and my cousin left right away. Now, he apologized afterwards, but my cousin still acts like it didn't happen. It was really jarring to have someone yell and curse at me like that. Well, this year, I skipped Thanksgiving because I didn't want to deal with him, and I'm still not comfortable being around him. My aunt and uncle were upset that I didn't come, and they tried to guilt trip me. Now, I've seen him and my cousin at other events this year, and we were cordial, but I kind of feel like the jerk because I hid the remote, but I think I was justified in skipping Thanksgiving. My 2 brothers have been on my side ever since it happened, and so have my other cousins. So seriously, am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, first and foremost, absolutely not. You're definitely not the jerk. This guy freaked out on you over a movie he wasn't even watching. Like, there's no reason to freak out like that. It's not like it was playing loud, and from the sounds of it, it was in another room. Like, seriously, this guy got mad at nothing. So no, I don't blame you for skipping out on Thanksgiving, because the fact that your cousin, aka his fiance, is acting like this didn't happen, in my opinion, is super toxic, and that is definitely not something that you should have to put up with. Am I the jerk for giving away the spare key to our apartment to my sister instead of my girlfriend's parents? Simply because my girlfriend and my sister don't exactly get along. Because right now, I'm honestly not sure what to do. Here's what happened. So me and my girlfriend of 3 years moved in together to our new apartment. And to get straight to the point, I wanted to give our spare key to my sister who lives closer to us than her parents, who also lives in another city. I reasoned that a spare key is for emergencies, and it would be more logical to to give it to someone who lives closer, like my sister. My girlfriend didn't agree with me because my sister doesn't like her much, so she isn't comfortable with her having easy access to our apartment. Also, she had the spare to our previous apartment and had used it without our permission. But later, she did tell us that she had been crashing there for an hour or so, all because she felt car sick. Now, I thought it was fine, and my girlfriend didn't say anything, so I assumed that she was okay with it, but she has been bringing this up lately. Now, I'd like to clarify that my sister has done that only once, and I still think it was fine because she wasn't feeling well. Anyways, giving a spare wasn't a big deal, so I gave it to my sister and also made a duplicate for her parents. Well, my girlfriend wasn't thrilled with my action, stating that I should have told her beforehand. And yes, I will admit that I messed up by not telling her about the duplicate, and I have apologized for that. But again, I reasoned that a spare key should be given to someone living closer to us. And if she wants to, then we can give another to a friend. But right now she's still mad at me, and she's giving me the cold shoulder. I think this was an unnecessary argument, and it's a win-win situation. Everybody gets a key. So truly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Okay, I've just got to say, I really think the original poster is the jerk in this situation because they literally completely ignored their girlfriend. For starters, I don't blame your girlfriend for being upset that your sister went in your apartment without your permission. And sure, she's saying that she was only there once because she was car sick or whatever she's telling you, but that's already incredibly sketchy. And it's not fair for your girlfriend to have to feel like, oh man, she could be in my house at any time, or even be left wondering how many times she's been there without your knowledge. So the fact that you completely ignored your girlfriend and said, well, I'm gonna give a key to my sister anyway, sorry about that. Like, that is so weird to me. There's no reason for that, and you really should not have done that. So yes, I do think you're the jerk here. You ignored your girlfriend completely, and I don't blame her for being upset, because in my opinion, this is definitely not a win-win situation. This next story came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Am I the jerk for shutting down my cousin and not letting her use my wedding as her engagement reveal? Because she claims she's not stealing the spotlight and that this would be just a simple announcement that wouldn't take much time. But I've decided to put my foot down and say no, stating that this is our special day and that she cannot take away from it. Here's what happened. I'm a 29-year-old female and I'm getting married in 2 weeks. My fiance and I have been planning this wedding for over a year, and we've worked hard to make it special. It's a mid-sized event with about 100 people in attendance, and we've kept it pretty traditional. The ceremony, the dinner, the speeches, the dancing, pretty usual stuff that you would expect at a wedding. Well, enter my cousin, who we will call Emily. She's 27 years old, and she's always been the type who loves being the center of attention, which isn't usually a problem until now. A few days ago, Emily pulled me aside during a family dinner, and she asked if she could make a small announcement at my wedding reception. When I asked what kind of announcement, she got all giddy and said, me and my boyfriend are engaged. Now, I congratulated her, but immediately told her that my wedding day wasn't the right time or place for her announcement. I explained that my fiance and I have spent a lot of time and money planning this day, and I didn't want anything taking away from the celebration. When I said that, Emily looked genuinely hurt. She said to me, I thought you'd be happy for me. It's not like I'm stealing the spotlight. It's just one little announcement. But I stood my ground and I said no. But now she's been sulking ever since. She has even hinted to other family members that I'm being selfish and insecure. And now my aunt is calling to say that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. My fiance is 100% on my side and thinks it's ridiculous for anyone to use someone else's wedding to make a big announcement. But part of me wonders if I am overreacting. Emily swears she wasn't trying to overshadow me, and I know it's exciting for her to be engaged, but I really need to know, am I in the wrong for shutting down my cousin in the way that I did? Because right now I don't know what to do. No, you are not the jerk. Emily is out of her mind if she thinks that's okay. You put all this time and money into your special day, and then she wants to swoop in and be like, oh, by the way, we're gonna take center stage for a little bit. Like, no, you're not doing that. That's insane. Like, that is seriously not fair for you in the slightest. So no, I don't blame you for a second for shutting that down. Because I know if I was in your situation, I would not only ignore my stupid aunt, but I would hold my ground and say, no, you're not doing that at my wedding. Literally, if they want to announce that, then do that on their own dime. But for them to show up at your event and try to make that happen, in my opinion, is totally unacceptable. Am I the jerk for canceling all of my Christmas plans for my family, all because my brother refuses to apologize for the way he's been treating me? Because after he's made some incredibly hurtful comments about me and my life, as well as constantly putting me down and making fun of me in front of the family, I've decided to put my foot down, demanding that he either apologize for the way he's acting, or else I would cancel all of my plans that I had for the family. Because right now, after I decided to stand my ground, my family is freaking out on me, saying that I'm overreacting and that I'm the one being childish. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so here's the deal. I am designated the Christmas hosts in our family. Every year, I pour my heart into organizing the holidays with cooking, decorating, buying gifts, and creating what my family calls a Christmas wonderland. Everyone loves it, and I truly enjoy doing it. That is until last year came around. My youngest brother, who we will call Jack, has always been the jokester of the family, but lately his jokes have been hitting below the belt. During Thanksgiving, he made a joke about how I've been single for years and probably spend my evenings crocheting sweaters for my cats, even though for the record, I don't even have cats. Now, the family laughed awkwardly at this, but I felt humiliated. I asked him to knock it off, and he just brushed me off, saying I was too sensitive. Fast forward to last week, and we're in a group chat finalizing our Christmas plans. Jack then posts a meme about women over 30 hosting elaborate holidays because apparently no man wants to marry them, and then he tags me in it. I then immediately texted him privately, telling him that his jokes are hurtful and asking him to apologize. He then says to me, "Oh, relax, it's funny, you're making this a big deal." I then told him that if he didn't apologize, then I was seriously considering canceling Christmas at my house this year. But that's when he decided to double down, saying that I was being a drama queen and that I should learn to take a joke. But that's when I hit my limit. I sent a message to the family group chat telling everybody that I've decided not to host Christmas this year. I said that Jack's repeated disrespect has taken the joy completely out of me. Feel free to make any other plans that you wish to make. Well, this is where the chaos started. My mom begged me to reconsider, saying Jack's just being himself and doesn't mean any harm. My dad called me childish for ruining Christmas over a joke. And while my sister said she understood where I was coming from, she still thinks that I'm being a bit extreme. And Jack, of course, is calling me a Grinch and accusing me of overreacting. Now, I feel guilty because I know my decision impacts everybody, especially the kids in the family who look forward to Christmas at my place. But at the same time, I feel like I shouldn't have to tolerate constant disrespect in my own home, even if it's wrapped up as some kind of joke. So am I the jerk for canceling Christmas over this kind of treatment? Because right now I don't know what to do. No, you're not the jerk at all. Honestly, I would do the same thing if I was in your shoes. Here's the thing, people like Jack are bullies, and bullies like this need to be put in their place because what he's doing is not funny. This is not some like reciprocated experience between the two of you, and it's not an inside joke that you're both in on. This is him bullying you and seeing you as an easy target and thinking that he can get away with it by being like, "Oh yeah, I'm just telling a joke, don't be so sensitive." Like, why should you have to put up with that, but you can't put your foot down and be like, "Hey, stop it, this is mean. You're hurting my feelings and I don't like this." And the fact that nobody's coming to your defense and being like, "Wow, yeah, that's really hurtful, Jack needs to stop." Like, that says all you need to know about the way they actually feel about you. They would rather you get bullied by Jack instead of correcting Jack and telling him to stop. Like, these people sound like they really just don't care about you. And that is not fair for you at all. You seriously do not deserve that. So seriously, I don't think it's your responsibility to be some kind of doormat or even Jack's punching bag for his stupid comments, because the way he's acting is super inappropriate and you do not deserve to be treated like that in the slightest. An entitled Karen freaks out on me and my mom after I force her to move out of my parking spot at our apartment complex. But after I find out that she keyed my mom's car, I decided to get some petty revenge by deflating her tires and forcing her to tow her car away. And I've honestly never felt better about getting back at somebody in my life. Here's what happened. Okay, so I live in this apartment complex with a parking at the ground floor of the building. Bear in mind, this is my secondary residence for the weekdays, and I stay with my family about a couple of hours away during the weekends. Anyways, my employer rented me a 3-bedroom hallway kitchen apartment in this building, considering that they accounted for my entire family staying with me, which they don't, as they stay at our own house a couple of hours away. I'm given 2 parking spots in the building parking lot, and normally I only use one because I drive over Monday mornings and drive back during the weekends to see my family. The other spot is mostly unused, but there's more than enough spots in this parking lot for all the residents in this building. So, given that my second spot is mostly unused, an opportunistic neighbor of mine decided to start using my spot because it's got better shade than her parking spot. And I will be frank, I didn't realize this until recently. Recently, however, I invited my mom to stay over with me for a week, and she came separately in her own car. To my surprise, when she arrived, she said that our second spot was already occupied. I inquired with security, and sure enough, he checked the number plate of the car in question, and it belonged to my neighbor. So he called my neighbor to respectfully move her car into her designated spot. But the thing is, she didn't pick up the phone, so the security guard had to climb upstairs and knock on her door to bring her downstairs. Now, here's where she turns into an absolute total jerk. I'm not expecting any apology, which she is liable to give me. Instead of obliging, she starts arguing with the security guard. He said that he's following the rules, and he doesn't really have a say regarding this. She then reluctantly comes down to the parking lot and gives me the nastiest death stare. She hesitates, but eventually moves her car to her spot so that my mom can park her car. And bear in mind, my mom is just waiting in her car all along for my neighbor to move her car. Anyways, my neighbor then continues arguing with a security guard, but we didn't stick around, since me and my mom went to our apartment to get on with our lives. When my mom was leaving to go back home, she was horrified to see that her car had been keyed up really bad. Now, in that time frame, the only people that could have entered our parking lot is the security guards and other neighbors. I'm on great terms with all of my other neighbors, except for the one mentioned in this post, so there's a lot of reasons to believe that she was responsible for this incident. When my mom reported the damage to me, I was outraged. For absolutely no reason, my mom's car was damaged, and it's not like we did anything wrong. I mean, we did get back a parking spot that was rightfully ours. So, of course, to teach this lady a lesson, I decided to damage her car back. In the following days, I brought out my tools, and I left some really bad scratches on her front driver's side bumper, but I still felt that wasn't enough, so I decided to completely deflate 2 of her tires. I did this after I came back from work, under the pretense that I was checking on my own car, meaning that sweet revenge was absolutely served. Needless to say, she was horrified the next day. She had to get her car towed, which I graciously saw over my balcony, and she was panicking because she was going to be extremely late to get to work. But I smiled whilst watching this, almost feeling like a supervillain, but not really because she deserved it. Now, my neighbor probably knows that it's me, but hasn't pulled a stunt back at me because she knows that she started this fight and I definitely finished it. Wow, your neighbor is a piece of garbage. Seriously, this lady actually keyed your mom's car after you had her move out of your spot. And don't tell me that it was someone else, like clearly there's some kind of security guard here, and there's only one person who's got a problem with you, and it's this stupid Karen who was giving you like a death stare and didn't want to move her car. So in my opinion, I think you dished out some wonderful revenge because this lady absolutely had it coming. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My fiance won't budge on his family Christmas traditions, as he literally refuses to see a way to make it work with mine, because right now I'm incredibly frustrated. Here's what happened. So my fiance and I have been together for 3.5 years. I grew up in a family with 4 kids, and my parents have been married for 34 years. Our extended family is really small and lives back home on the East Coast where I'm from, so I was used to doing Christmas with just the 6 of us, namely my parents and my siblings, for the majority of my life. Some of my best memories are just relaxing at home with them, eating my mom's amazing food, watching movies, and opening presents. We would also get dressed up and go to church on Christmas morning. My parents don't drink either, so for me, family time has never involved alcohol, unlike my fiance's family. My fiance only has 1 sibling, and his parents are divorced, but they are still good friends. He has 4 cousins on his mom's side, and they all have significant others, so it's about 20 of us. Every Christmas Eve, their tradition is to get together at one of their homes in the early afternoon, and they do an Italian feast and drink a lot and play a lot of games. These parties will literally last until about 3 in the morning, which leaves no room to do anything else for the night of Christmas Eve, which in all actuality is not something that I like. My fiance and I have spent every Christmas Eve ever since we've been together with his mom's side for that party, because what he prefers for holidays is being surrounded by his family and partying with them. This has always seemed like a touchy subject, and I've tried to not complain about it because I know it makes him happy, so I try to just go along with it. And so far, our plan is to still attend the party this year for Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day, the past few years, we have opened gifts with his mom in the morning. Then we've gone to his dad's side to celebrate with them and open gifts. My parents moved out of town about 1.5 years ago, so we aren't able to do anything with them for Christmas unless they're in town. In my ideal world, my fiance and I would only go to his mom's side's Christmas Eve dinner for maybe a few hours, and then we would leave and do our own little traditions. On Christmas Day this year, we were originally going to travel to New York to see my family, but ultimately decided to stay in town and save money on traveling. So my alternative was that he and I could spend all Christmas Day together, just us, since we would be with his family for most of Christmas Eve. It's our first Christmas in our new house, and first Christmas being engaged. I wanted to at least have some special time for us as a couple for Christmas, because it is my favorite holiday, and relaxing at home and opening gifts, eating good food, watching Christmas movies, it may not sound like much, but I love it. My fiance originally sounded excited at the idea of us doing that together, but he is now telling me that this would be boring, and it doesn't sound fun to him to sit around all day when we have the whole week off of work to have alone time. He also said that my family Christmases sound lame, and at his family's, they actually have fun. Well, I took that personally, because I would hope that my fiance would be excited to spend Christmas Day with just me and try to create our own own traditions, and having alcohol and partying involved shouldn't be the determining factor of if it's fun or not. I pointed out that I've already made a lot of sacrifices with my preferred holiday traditions in order to appease him specifically. But you know what? He said that he didn't care, and that made me even more upset. What should I do? Oh wow, your fiance is being very spoiled and very rude. You mean to tell me that for the entirety of you guys being together, you're constantly spending time with his family, but he never wants to do the same with yours? Like seriously, that seems a bit unfair. Why should you have to sacrifice all your family traditions just so he can go partying? Like what's going on? Shouldn't you guys be going back and forth? So overall, I think he's being super entitled, and the way he's going about doing this, in my opinion, is incredibly unfair. Am I the jerk for not letting a woman cut in line to the grocery store after she acted super entitled and super rude with me? Because right now, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I really need some opinions on grocery store etiquette and not letting someone cut in line. Tonight after work, I stopped by my local grocery store to grab a handful of items to make dinner, and I only had about 5 items in total. I maneuvered my cart behind an older woman who was slowly navigating putting her groceries on the belt to be checked out, and she was the only person I noticed in front of me. A few minutes later, another woman tries to edge her way in line in front of my cart, and I just gave her a quizzical look, and she said to me, "Oh, I was here before, but I went to go see if the other line was moving faster." I said to her, "Okay, but you weren't here when I arrived, so I don't know what to tell you." This woman then proceeded to inform me that she was here first, and that she should be let back in because she only stepped away to see if the other line was faster. I replied that I did not see her before I joined the line, so she could get behind me or go back to the other line. At this point, she showed me that she only had a few things and was shocked that I wasn't going to let her back in line. But I pointed out that I too only had a few items, and I wasn't going to move because I did not see her in line in front of me when I joined. Now, this is where I may be the jerk. At this point, we're both getting frustrated in this grocery store race for pole position. She says to me, "So you're not gonna let me back in? Where is your Christmas spirit?" But I had had enough of her entitlement at this point, and I just shot back at her and I said, "Don't pull that garbage on me." Honestly, if I had been behind her in line, I would have happily held her place if she had asked me. But she wasn't there when I arrived, and she just assumed that she would cut back in line after a few minutes. Using Christmas spirit as a means to get what you wanted was the last straw for me. In the end, she glared at me and said, "I hope you have a Merry Christmas," her voice dripping with sarcasm, and she then left to go back to another cashier. And the irony is, we both left the store with our items at the same time. So truly, am I the jerk for not letting her cut in line? Especially after she tried to use Christmas against me? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk entirely. She gambled looking for another line and she completely lost. So for her to come back and be like, "Wait a second, I was actually in line," like that's so weird and stupid. Like, does she really expect to hold 2 different spots in 2 different lines? Like, if you leave the line, then congratulations, you're gonna have to wait to go back in that line. So no, you're not the jerk, because honestly, if someone tried to pull the whole Christmas spirit thing on me as well, I would have lost my mind and been like, "Oh, now you're definitely not getting back in line." Because that, in my opinion, is some weird guilt tripping that you do not deserve in the slightest. Am I the jerk for telling my sister that she is an awful mother in the family group chat? Because right now, I'm not sure if I crossed a serious line. Here's what happened. So my sister Sarah and I have seen each other around Christmas every year, but other than that, we don't really communicate except for the occasional family group chat exchange. She has 2 sons who we will call Jackson and Ethan. Jackson is 15 years old and Ethan is 13 years old. I've always known that Ethan is quiet and reserved, and until recently, I thought he preferred to not have a lot of attention until I realized that he's just not getting any. Until last Christmas, I thought Jackson and Ethan had the same dad. I learned that Jackson's dad left Sarah after she cheated on him, which is why we now have Ethan in our lives. I also recently realized that Sarah would reach out in the chat on behalf of Jackson. If he had a sports game, doing a fundraiser, or had a social event to attend, she would ask us to attend, donate, or help him get to and from his social event if she couldn't take him. Or if he was suspended from school, she would reach out to us for help, but rarely would we hear anything about Ethan. And she never told us that Jackson was suspended 99% of the time, all because he was bullying Ethan and his friends. In fact, they now go to separate schools. Recently, Sarah asked if someone could take Ethan to his school choir concert. That way, she could attend parent conferences at Jackson's school. Now, this was odd to me, because she didn't ask anyone to go watch him perform, but I gave her the benefit of the doubt and thought maybe Ethan just didn't want anyone to watch. I then offered to take him, watch the concert if he wanted me to, and then take him home. He even had a solo and he was smiling and clearly loved doing what he was doing. His choir director said that Ethan is always helping other students and asked me to come to more concerts. Sometime after that, Sarah was once again busy at driver's ed with Jackson and Ethan was left at home. He then started vomiting and called his mom, and of course she reached out and asked if anyone else could go take care of him until she was able to get home. So I decided to just do it. But the thing is, she didn't come home early. Fast forward, and 2 weeks later, which is literally 2 weeks ago from now, he has now broke his hand. Last weekend, I bought tickets to the symphony and I planned on taking him, but I wound up not being able to because I was sick. I then transferred the tickets to his mom and I begged her to take him and she said that she would. Well, I texted Ethan yesterday and asked how he liked it, but he didn't respond. So I called up his mom. It's then that I find out that she didn't take him and didn't find anyone else to try and take him. Apparently, she was busy and forgot, but wasn't too busy to ask the family group chat the day of the concert if anyone would help Jackson's DC trip in the spring. I then went off on her in the family group chat and said that she is being an awful mother. I said that I don't know if it's because she inherited the favoritism gene from our parents, or if she is subconsciously punishing him, all because she cheated and got rightfully dumped. And I then told her that she needs to step up for her son. Well, as you can probably guess, this has caused a group chat storm. At first, I felt justified, but some of the responses say otherwise. And Sarah, of course, says that I'm the biggest jerk in the world. So seriously, am I in the wrong for calling her out in front of the rest of the family? Because right now, I don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk for calling her out and being like, hey, you're neglecting Ethan, but I don't know if the family group chat was the best place to do that. I don't know. In that situation, for me personally, I would make sure to discuss it in private first, just to try and see if there's some kind of details that I might be missing. Like, sure, you're seeing something that absolutely needs to be discussed, but for me personally, I would have done this in private instead of in a group chat, even though I think you're completely justified in discussing this in the first place. My boyfriend has repeatedly forgotten to get me any Christmas or birthday gifts, but now he's upset that we're not getting pizza on his birthday like he was hoping we would do. And at this point, I'm so frustrated that I seriously don't know how to make things right. Here's what happened. I'm a 21-year-old female and I've been dating my boyfriend for a little over 4 years. The first year he was great about gifts and making me feel loved and remembered, but after that, I didn't get anything. I would remind him months, weeks, and days before my birthday or Christmas. Not once has he planned to take me anywhere or bought me a gift ahead of time. I've never unwrapped a birthday present from him, and I usually get upset, obviously, and then cry. But then we go out and he usually buys me something that I pick out. And honestly, I hate this, and I've told him that I hate this. I give him hints all year. I straight up tell him what I want. In fact, last year he bought me a silicone ring that not only wasn't my size, but it was also a pattern that I didn't like. He also didn't return it to get the size that I wanted, so I just didn't get a gift. And on top of that, this year he just didn't get me anything at all. Like 2 weeks after my birthday, I saw a purse that I wanted at a thrift store, and then he ended up buying that for me. Now, we are not super well off, but he spends hundreds of dollars a month on tools and parts to add on to his cars. He also spends money on video games and useless subscriptions that he doesn't use. I don't want him to spend money on me, but over the years, I've told him repeatedly that my perfect birthday would be getting flowers, a handwritten note, and then a dinner date. That is literally it. But even the note is too hard to get because even though I love notes, he claims that he can't write, so that's why he never does it. I feel like it's not crazy to ask for just this on my birthday. I don't know if I'm looking for advice or just pity, but I'm just so exhausted with all of this. He works on his birthday a couple of days, so we had planned to go get pizza at his favorite spot after he had his first therapy appointment today. The therapy place is in the same town as the pizza place, which is an hour away. Well, we are both sick, so he canceled his therapy, but this morning I asked him, okay, so we're not going anywhere today, we've got no plans, and he confirmed that we didn't. But now, all of a sudden, he's really upset that we're not going to get pizza still. I'm obviously confused, so I tell him I don't really want to go because he doesn't have therapy anymore. We're also both sick and I don't eat pizza. We would also have to take my car as his needs new tires and the roads are snowy. Well, now he's in bed sulking because apparently going there for my birthday was the only thing that I wanted. So is that guilt tripping? I don't know if I'm too close to him to figure out if I'm overreacting or what I should even do. I want to make him happy and celebrate his birthday like I always do, but I just can't let myself do it. I get emotional and sad every time I try to plan anything. Now, another catalyst for this is that I love painting. I absolutely love it. I'm really artistic and I've been trying to get him to join me in creating anything for the past 4 years, but he never has. He's refused painting, making ornaments, drawing something, I mean literally everything. I have been really bothering him about it the last 2 weeks because I always humor him when he wants me to join him in helping with his cars. I am not mechanically gifted and it's not the most fun thing for me, but I like spending time with him and seeing him do what he loves. I guess I need advice on how to get him more involved and what I should do about his birthday and Christmas. I already have gifts picked out for both, but honestly, what do I do here? I don't think I'd be happy if I blew him off off on his birthday because I want to celebrate him. What's the best way to make sure that I'm happy and he's happy without being petty or vindictive? What should I do? Okay, first off, you need to pump the brakes. You mean to tell me that this guy refuses to give you any birthday gifts or Christmas presents, and yet he still expects you to do the same for him? Like, what's going on here right now? That is so spoiled and entitled, it's not even funny. You remind this guy over and over again, hey, my birthday's tomorrow, could you get me something that I might like? You even go as far as telling him exactly what you do want, and he still doesn't have the common courtesy to do it. It's like, seriously, this is not that hard to figure out. Just buy your girlfriend what she wants and then be done with it. And him saying, oh, I can't write anything, I'm sorry, that's too hard for me. That is such a cop-out answer, it's not even funny. Of course he can write. He knows how to write with a pen and paper. He just doesn't want to do it because either he's too lazy to, or he doesn't actually care about you that much. Like if my girlfriend said, hey, I want flowers, a handwritten note, and I want a dinner date, I would jump at that so fast. That's like so easy. The barrier of entry of making this a good day for her is now completely figured out. Why would you not dive in head first and do exactly that? So truly, I hope this all gets figured out for you, because the way your boyfriend's treating you, in my opinion, is completely unacceptable. Am I the jerk for calling my husband's new boss's wife out after I discovered that she stole from my daughter? Because right now I'm worried that my husband's job might be in jeopardy, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So last night we attended my husband's first Christmas party with his new employer. He's been in the same field for decades, so I was familiar with a few attendees. I had never met his boss or his boss's wife, who we will call Andrea, and I knew very little about her. Now, as a side story, my daughter, who we will call Willow, is a fantastic cook. She has worked in the same bank for 7 years, so they've gotten to know her food and will often make a special request. And this year they requested bruschetta and crostinis. A couple coworkers requested that she make a larger batch, as it all went away fast at last year's Christmas potluck. The following day she took it to work, but half an hour before the party, she called me crying because someone had taken it from their fridge. She wasn't crying because the food disappeared. She was crying because she served it in a dish hand-painted by her sister. It was a trumpeter swan dish that I loved very much. I consoled her and suggested it might turn up eventually, but inside I was completely crushed. Now back to the party. I'm enjoying my second glass of Merlot and also getting to know a few people when I decide it's best to go get something to eat so I don't get too buzzed. Now everyone is ranting and raving over the boss's dish, bruschetta and crostinis. Apparently she can't cook and usually buys something, so this is a surprise to them. I am curious to see if it's better than Willow's recipe, so I walk over to grab some, and much to my surprise, this is from my own trumpeter swan dish. I walked over to the dish and I turned it to a friend of mine, who we will call Julie, pointing out the dish and sharing its origin. She suggested that there might be more than one, but I just shook my head and said, no, it's handmade, look at the bottom. And by this time, Andrea had walked over to us. I turned to her and I said, do you work at the US Bank? She then nods and says, I don't recognize you, are you a customer? But I said to her, no, I'm Willow's mother. You broke her heart today. I then pointed to the dish. Andrea's face then floods with color as she tries to defend herself. There are tons of those dishes out there. But Julie said to her, Andrea, this is hand painted. She then lifts it over her head. By now there are 4 other women around us, and on the bottom of it, it says my other daughter's name and the year 2009. Andrea opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. She then bursts into tears and leaves the room. Her husband followed her shortly thereafter, effectively ending the party. At home, my husband yelled at me for confronting her in front of everyone else. He thinks I should have discreetly confronted her and asked for my dish back rather than doing it in public. But I yelled back that she had no consideration for how she made Willow feel when the dish disappeared. So honestly, I just returned the favor. He yelled that I might have compromised his job, but I yelled back that his boss married a cheap thief, and if he didn't know it before, then he did now. If the boss sided with his wife and made my husband pay, then it wasn't a job worth keeping. Well, this morning his boss isn't at work, and apparently he took vacation until the new year. So am I in the wrong for calling this lady out? Because right now I really don't know what to do. Okay, first and foremost, you're not the jerk, but also, why is your husband not upset about this? Does he really care more about his job over his daughter? Like seriously, this lady stole from your daughter. Your wife is completely justified in calling this lady out and being like, wait a second, you stole from us. Like, I'm sorry, this is not something that should ever be taken lightly. The original poster has now gone on to explain that her husband, the boss, and the wife are all going to meet tonight. And while the original poster is kind of nervous about this, if I was in the original poster shoes, I would be like, no, I'm definitely excited about this because these people need to apologize to me. They stole from my family, and that is absolutely unacceptable. So no, you're not the jerk for calling these people out in the slightest, because this is something, in my opinion, that absolutely needs to be addressed. My friend wants me to get her another birthday present, all because because she didn't like what we gifted her for her birthday. But now, after spending so much time and money getting her gift together, I'm honestly blown away and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, for a bit of context, my friend's birthday was last week, and me and my other friend decided to do a joint gift for her. We ended up spending about $50 each, and the gift included a Jellycat sushi, which is one of her favorite foods, along with snacks and energy drinks that she likes, all color-coded to her favorite color. Today, almost a week after she received the gift, she messaged my other friend, saying in her own words that she didn't appreciate the lack of thoughtfulness and personalization that we put into her gift. She said it felt like a stab in the back, since her love language is gift giving, and she felt she put more effort into what she gifted us for our birthdays. Now, I'm a bit hurt, since both me and my other friend aren't in a financial state to go all out on gifts, and we tried our very best to work with what we had. Considering the gift was almost $100 altogether, it feels unappreciative and relatively ungrateful, since she looked past the things we did focus on and try to personalize. I do see how adding snacks to a gift can seem lazy, but we specifically researched food that she likes and her favorite color. I went to 5 stores in total to purchase specific items for her. Even if the gift wasn't anything crazy, we still took time out of our day to put together the gift, including a cute gift bag and a card. I'm slightly offended she only messaged my other friend and not me as well. I feel a bit cut since she didn't ask me directly for a redo, but instead I found out through a relay message. If this was really impacting her, then I believe this conversation could have happened with both of us present. Is asking for a redo gift too much to ask, or am I overreacting? I'm upset that she wasn't happy with what we gave her, but I also don't want her to feel like we don't appreciate her. I don't think I can afford anything else for her, and I'm also hurt by how she passively called us unthoughtful. I do love her and I want her to feel appreciated, but I'm honestly not sure what to do. Okay, your friend is a spoiled, rotten brat. Who in their right mind would accept a gift and be like, wow, this isn't good enough. This gift should have been something else. I can't believe you gave me this. It's like, wait a second, that is so unbelievably entitled. She literally doesn't appreciate this gift at all. Like, this is so rude, I would even question my own friendship with this lady. So no, of course you're not the jerk. You didn't do anything wrong. And in my opinion, you did everything right. You went out of your way to try and personalize this as best you could. And if she didn't see that, and if she's really this ungrateful, then in my opinion, that is something that she is gonna have to deal with. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for telling my best friend that I don't want to be in her wedding all because I cannot afford to go? Because after doing the math, I realize this is way outside of my budget. But my friend is saying that if I really wanted to go, then I should pick up another job or even dip into my savings to make it work. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my best friend of many years is getting married, and she recently asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was thrilled at first, but after she shared the details, my excitement turned into anxiety. The dresses that she picked out are expensive. The bachelorette party is a destination weekend, and there are other costs like makeup, hair, and gifts. I did the math, and trust me, it is way out of my budget. I told her that while I'm honored that she asked, I simply cannot afford to be in the wedding. I offered to support her in other ways, like helping with planning or attending her bridal shower, but all the same, she was still upset with me. She said she thought being her bridesmaid was not negotiable because we were so close, and she didn't think that it was fair for me to back out over money. She also implied that I could make it work if I really tried, and suggested I use my savings or pick up extra work to cover the cost. So now I feel like I've let her down and maybe overreacted by saying no so quickly. I know how important this day is to her, but I also can't justify putting myself into debt or draining my savings just to do this. She's been distant since our first conversation, and I'm honestly worried that I've damaged our friendship. So seriously, am I the jerk for not doing this all because of the cost? Because right now I really don't know what to do. No, you are not the jerk here. Your friend is being irrational. She's really trying to say, oh, dip into your savings or pick up another job. There's no reason why you can't do it. You could if you really wanted to. And it's like, lady, what are you talking about here? This is crazy. The fact that she's demanding that you be financially irresponsible or even work yourself to the bone just to show up, in my opinion, is super entitled and super toxic. Like, this lady doesn't sound like a friend at all. Instead, it sounds like it's someone who's like really self-absorbed and is someone who's just going to completely neglect your needs overall. So no, you're not the jerk here, because if I was in your shoes, I would be doing the exact same thing. My coworker ditched me on a night out after she begged me to go out with her after our Christmas party. And right now, I feel so unbelievably humiliated. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so basically, there's this one girl at work who I know for a fact has fancied me for over a year. For the sake of the story, we'll call call her Chloe. I've seen text messages from other coworkers of her calling me cute, and at the start of every shift, she runs into my arms and hugs me and won't leave me alone. I do like her back, but I have never considered doing anything because I've always been paranoid about a relationship in the workplace. Anyways, we had our Christmas night out this past Saturday, and in the 2 weeks leading up to it, she spends every shift asking me to come out with her afterwards. She has a small girl group at work, and they are all going out drinking at a bar. I say to her repeatedly that I'm not sure and that we will see, and eventually she just starts straight up telling me that I'm coming 100%. The day before the night out, I'm in for a shift, and I'm told by multiple people that she has sent her best friend in today to persuade me to come out with her on Saturday. Everyone at work then starts getting on me, basically saying, "Oh, just come and go with her. She's a nice girl. She loves you." Well, then at the night out, she is again up in my face, trying to get me to commit, and this happened several times over the evening, telling me how we could then go back to mine afterwards. My other coworkers keep turning to me and saying that you two have known each other for so long, and we have incredible chemistry. I should give the girl a chance. They also tell me how cute of a couple we would be. So I finally cave and I tell her that I will come with her. She seems over the moon and asks me to promise, which I did. Well, 11 o'clock comes around and the taxi arrives. We both walk out together chatting, but when we get to the car, there's only one seat available. The girl then jumps in and closes the door in my face without saying anything. Another of the girls is in the passenger side with the window down, but she turns to me and goes, "Are you coming?" And I say to her, "Yeah, she invited me." The girl then turns to Chloe and asks, "Did you say he could come?" And Chloe pauses for a second and says no. Her pal then turns to me and goes, "Sorry man, no space, we'll see you later," then pulls up the window and they drive off, leaving me standing alone at the side of the street. She didn't even say bye or wave or do anything like that. She just completely blanked on me. This is genuinely one of the most embarrassing things which I've ever had happen to me, but luckily my friends were still there and they came and got me when they realized I was out there on my own. Everyone is mind blown when I tell them what just happened. I am so confused about the whole thing. One of my friends knows that she wasn't the one who actually called for the taxi, so maybe she just panicked when she realized there wasn't enough space for me. But still, if that is the case, I feel like she could have just explained and apologized to me and not lied. From my point of view, I could now never consider a relationship with her again after what she has done regardless of the circumstances. She's taken a few days off this week, so I won't see her again until our Saturday shift. So I am looking for advice on how to handle this awkward situation in the workplace, because right now I'm genuinely so angry at her, but I also don't want to start any drama. What should I do? Oh my god, this is so embarrassing and I'm so sorry this happened. She literally bailed on you so fast it's not even funny. She basically showed that she would rather stay in favor with her friends instead of trying to stick around with you in this awkward situation she put you in. Like she was begging you to go out with her. She was saying over and over again, "Oh please, we can do this. Then we can go back to your place. It'll be so fun." She's been obsessing over you and jumping all over you anytime she gets a chance to, but now at the brink of actually having that time with you, she turns her back on you the second anything goes wrong. Like if I was in your shoes, I would treat this lady as radioactive waste. Like I would stay so far away from her, it's not even funny. I would keep a polite professional distance, but I would never allow her to jump all over me ever again. Like this whole hugging me and not letting go at work stuff, that ends the second you see her again. She is no longer any kind of like crush at work or some girl at work who thinks you're cute. Instead, you need to see her for what she is, and that is the drama queen that absolutely ruined your night. So seriously, I really hope you keep a hard stance with this, because Chloe sounds like absolute drama. Am I the jerk for never giving away anything to my neighbor, despite the fact that they're constantly bothering me about things I post on Facebook that I'm trying to give away? Because right now I'm very annoyed and I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, for a bit of context, I live in a very large upper middle class neighborhood. There are about 1,500 homes, and we have several Facebook groups. People give stuff away all the time. They sell stuff, they offer services, they ask for help, etc. So we have a very friendly and generous neighborhood. About a year ago, when I was 1 month postpartum, I decided to give away all the formula samples we received in the mail and from the doctor. I had about 8 small cans of various formulas and I made the post. Now this neighbor, let's call her Sarah for the sake of the story, she was the first one to comment on the post. I didn't check the post, but saw a Facebook message come through from a different neighbor, and I responded to her first, and she came by and picked it up. I marked the Facebook post as claimed, and Sarah messaged me and was very upset. She said she was the first to comment and she waited all day for me to reach out and that she really needed this formula. Well, I just apologized. I said that I responded to the first person who messaged me and not commented because I just wanted it gone and I didn't think it was that serious. Fast forward, and a few months months later, someone posted that they were giving away a jogging stroller. Well, I commented on the post and so did Sarah. The neighbor giving it away quickly replied to me that it was already claimed, and so I just went about my day. Later, Sarah messaged me accusing me of picking up the stroller. I told her the neighbor said it was claimed and that I didn't even know where she was located. Sarah said that she walked about a mile around the neighborhood to pick it up, and apparently it wasn't there. But I told her that I did not take it and that she needs to reach out to the owner. But even then, Sarah kept pressing me, saying she really needs it because she walks around the neighborhood every day. But I just kept telling her that I didn't take it. She then finally left me alone after that. Fast forward to today, and I had complimentary museum tickets given to me from my work. It expires in a few weeks, and I know I won't make it there, so I put it out there in our Facebook page for free. Well, once again, Sarah was the first one to comment, followed by a few other people being interested. My friend then texted me that she saw the post and that she wanted it, so I just gave it to her. Well, after I deleted the post, guess who messaged me? It was Sarah, and she went off on me that she was the first to comment, and I went ahead and picked someone else again. I nicely told her that a friend wanted it, so I gave it to her. By the way, entrance to the museum is probably $20 max. It wasn't worth that much to begin with. Plus, I would rather it go to someone that I know and like. She then went off on me and blocked me altogether. And did I mention that I've never actually met this lady in real life? My husband said that I'm the jerk and I should have just given it to her because she's always looking for free stuff, and I've never given her anything, and she was the first one to comment. But I disagree because, like I said, we live in a very generous neighborhood. I've never seen her post that she needs anything specific, and instead she just tries to grab all the free stuff in the area. So am I the jerk for giving away my stuff to other people instead of honoring the unspoken rule about the first to comment? Because right now I really don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all, because it really seems like Sarah just wants free stuff. That's all this is about, in my opinion, and the fact that she's acting like this even though you've never met her, in my opinion, is super toxic. So if you do decide to post on that Facebook page again, I would turn off comments and tell people to send you a message if they want the item that you're giving away. That way you don't have to deal with people like Sarah, where they're like, oh yeah, I commented first. Because if I was in your shoes, I would find this incredibly annoying as well. Am I the jerk for refusing to let my parents take my money out of my scholarship just to pay for my younger brother's summer camp? Because right now they are pressuring me hard, saying that as family, we should help each other out. But at this point, I'm very confused and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I recently received a scholarship for about $3,500 that covers many of my school expenses, as well as other things such as school supplies and extracurricular activities. Now, I am only 14 years old, but it was a big deal for me because I worked hard for it and I won a competition, and it's going to help take some financial pressure off of my family. The problem is that my parents are now saying that they want to use some of my scholarship money to help pay for my younger brother in going to some specialized summer camp that he really wants to attend. My brother is super into robotics and coding, and the camp is quite expensive. Now, I understand that they want to support him too, and my scholarship fund has specific rules which this qualifies for, but I feel like it's all unfair for them to use my hard-earned scholarship money for something that's completely unrelated to me. When I told them no, my parents got really upset with me. They said that as a family, we should help each other out, and that I'm being selfish. My brother also found out about it, and now thinks that I'm trying to stop him from doing something that's important to him. I feel bad because I know the camp would be great for him, but at the same time, I feel like I earned that money, and it's not really meant for this. So now, my parents are barely speaking to me, and my brother is mad at me as well. I wonder if maybe I'm being selfish and I could just let them use the money, because right now I really don't know what to do. Okay, seriously, your parents are being so weird right now. This is literally a fund specifically for you. You earned this money. You won that competition and you've got this money for your schooling. So for your family to be like, oh, you've got to give it to your brother, it's too expensive and we don't want to pay for it. Because really, that's all that's going on right now. They don't want to pay for it because it costs too much money. So they're thinking, oh, let's just steal the money from our other son and use it for this. And it's like, no, that's not fair at all. You earned that money. So no, you're not the jerk for saying that you don't want to use that money for your brother, because that, in my opinion, is a horrible thing to ask of you. I'm on the verge of telling my toxic parents that I will be spending Christmas Eve with my boyfriend's family, but I just know that this will lead to an awful situation where my parents will freak out on me in a way that I've already experienced several times before. So at this point, I'm so confused and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, long story short, my parents absolutely hate my boyfriend, and they refuse to accept any part of opening up to our relationship. I'm in the process of low contact and moving out of their house, so I'm just trying to roll with the punches while I'm still living with them. Today, I accepted my boyfriend's family invite to their Christmas Eve party. Now, I 100% want to go, and I'm excited to spend time with them since they make me feel so welcome and happy, but I know my parents will go ballistic. I have not spent a holiday with a significant other ever in my lifetime. A few have invited me in the past, which I rejected because I said I'm not able to because of my family, and others have had similar experiences with their families, and we agreed it's easier to go alone and maybe revisit if we get engaged. So not only is this a first, it's also with someone they absolutely despise. I also know me not being at my family Christmas Eve will bring up questions and force my parents to talk about my boyfriend unless somehow they lie about it. I'm planning on spending actual Christmas with my family, but we do celebrate the day before as well, so I know they will make a big deal out of it. I'm already mentally preparing for the storm that's going to come out of this, but any advice on how to prepare for this will be so helpful. And I know I'm an adult and realistically I can do these things without feeling scared or guilty, but this thread has helped me so much with my confidence and reassurance that I'm okay to do these things and that I'm not a terrible person. And pretty much right after the holidays, I am also trying to move out as soon as possible once the right listing comes. I've said this before, but I would rather not have everything blow up more than it already has with my parents. I know that the chances of this ending with a calm and respectful conversation is slim to none. I seem to be reaching the top of the hill, and I will need all the strength and support as I get to the top and reach a point where I live alone, where I can set boundaries and then I can finally breathe. I'm trying to come up with a game plan for all of this, but all of this is so incredibly new to me. Oh man, this sounds like it's going to be a spicy conversation to say the least. From the sounds of it, it seems like your parents are just going to be disagreeable pretty much no matter what you're going to say, so it really does come down to the fact of, well, am I going to stick to my values or not? You obviously want to spend time with your boyfriend and his family, and yes, you absolutely deserve and have the right to do so. So the fact that they want to try and be controlling in any kind of way and treat you like garbage as well as your boyfriend like garbage, in my opinion, is super toxic and you just don't deserve that. But I think you have the right idea by saying, oh yeah, I'm moving out as soon as possible. And I don't blame you for making that step because from the sounds of it, your parents sound awful. And if I was in your shoes, I would definitely want to be moving out as well. My mother is constantly having a go at me for doing things alone, such as traveling or even going to a restaurant. And I'm honestly now so annoyed that I just don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm 29 years old and I still live at home. It lets me save a lot of money and do other things like traveling, so I honestly can't complain. I started a bit late in life working, but since I started making my own money and have been able to do more things, I'm convinced I've started to enjoy my life a small bit more. I have a long way to go, of course, and I certainly have issues that I need to deal with. Anyways, I've always been a bit of a loner. I was diagnosed with autism when I was a child, so I've always found it very hard to make friends. I work as a waitress, which is a very interactive job, so I can carry conversations with people a lot more than usual. But anyways, because I've never really had friends, I've had to get used to doing things alone, which I'm perfectly happy with now. I'm used to it and I am able to do things I know I will enjoy. For example, earlier in the year, I had the evening off from work, so I decided to go to a restaurant I've always wanted to try. And you know what? I loved it. And being alone didn't bother me. When I told my mom where I'd been later that evening, she had a full-on go at me. She said to me, "Why would you go alone sitting like a fool? Would you not have invited someone?" And it's like, okay, maybe I should have invited someone, but I'm just happier alone. My birthday was earlier this year, and I was working that day, so I decided to go for lunch by myself to do something nice. And when I told my mom, it was the usual kind of talk. I should have invited someone, I was sitting alone, and it's nicer to do things with people, and so on and so forth. I also went to Rome earlier this year, and I absolutely loved it. I was somewhere different, and I was perfectly happy alone. No one was bothering me. Looking back on the year, I think it was the happiest I was all year. And this is so much so that I'm planning to go back next year. Now, my mom didn't have a go at me for that, as everyone in my family knew that I wanted to go, but she sometimes tells me to bring someone with me, as she feels that it's nicer to be with people. So is my mom right about this? Am I wrong for being happy doing things alone? Because right now I'm starting to doubt myself and I really don't know what to do. Okay, first things first, no, you're definitely not in the wrong for wanting to do things by yourself. Like, that's completely normal and there's nothing wrong with that. Because I'm right with the original poster, and maybe other people might feel this way, because sometimes I feel like I can't do things unless I have someone else with me, like go to a restaurant or even like see a movie or travel or something like that. But the original poster is a wonderful example that yes, you can do this, and yes, it is normal. So sure, you could share these moments with somebody else, and maybe this is your mom hinting that you need to be in a relationship, which by the way, you don't have to be in one if you don't want to. But also, I think it's important to note that yes, you can do this by yourself, and that you don't need someone with you in order to accomplish something cool. So no, I don't think you're in the wrong here, because I really think you've done absolutely nothing wrong. An entitled customer destroys some of our products all because she couldn't get the box open to look at what she wanted. And I'm honestly still blown away by this level of pettiness. Here's what happened. So it was just another calm, quiet, and boring normal day at work in the sports equipment store that I work at. I was manning the cashier as usual when a slightly annoyed woman comes up to the register. She She said some snarky comment before switching to being very polite, which I didn't think much of it at the time. A few minutes later, my colleague comes to me and asked me to look at something, and what I found was a big mess. It turns out this customer had been trying to open a box of wool base layer clothing the wrong way. These boxes have a slide out bottom or side, and the woman had decided to rip open the top instead. My colleague had approached and asked if she needed help, and also explained how to open the box the easy way without damaging them. But the woman responded by saying, "No, I'm done here." And so they both just moved away from the shelf. Well, a few minutes later, that same colleague went back to the shelf and found the mess. Several boxes were torn open, some pieces strewn about on the floor, and one box had been obviously slammed to the floor and stomped on. I thought to myself, what in the world is her problem? Now, as you may be well aware, if you work in any kind of store, even if the content is perfectly fine, the box being broken is a big no-no for many customers. So these products became virtually unsellable. Now, I definitely would have charged her for these items if I'd known that she had paid for other stuff, but alas, it was too late for that. She caused a few $100s of damage after all. But to this day, science still cannot explain what caused this individual to be so petty. Wow, that is so weird. Customers honestly do stupid stuff like this all the time, and it just baffles me. Like, why would she destroy products in the back instead of like asking for help? Like, sure, you can't get the box open, but don't like throw it on the ground and stomp on it. Like, what's going on right now? So yeah, that's really weird, and honestly, people who act like this are incredibly strange. My disgusting in-laws are trying to move into my house after they had their cats taken away and having their house condemned 2 years in a row for unsafe living conditions. And after finding out about all the disgusting things that went on in that house, I'm now absolutely demanding that they don't show up at my house because I don't want the same thing to happen to me. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, my in-laws are in their 60s. They are hoarders, they're unhealthy people, and they are not elderly. And saying something like, well, this is what happens when you get to be our age. No, as a matter of fact, it doesn't. You either eat healthy and take care of yourself or you're gonna fall apart. They also don't cook or clean, and their house is falling apart from neglect. They neglect their own hygiene, they reek of urine, and have 2 cats who urinate and defecate all over the house. Their doctors have passively made comments about the smell, but they don't ask for help or even consider a nursing home. They seem to be there mentally, but they are just completely gross. Now, in the winter of 2023, my 350-pound father-in-law fell down, and he and my mother-in-law could not get him back up. They called the fire department, and when the fire department saw the condition of the house, they called the health department and said that they had 14 days or so to fix some of the issues around the house before they would be forced to leave. The Humane Society also came by and took their 2 cats away. Now, as a side note, I also know that they just feed their cats leftovers from the food they get delivered. There's mold and cat defecation and rot, and I would bet human waste as well all around the house. My wife said there were trash bags filled to the brim everywhere. They got the house taken care of just enough to meet code, and then fell right back into it, and now it's even worse. My father-in-law also recently beat cancer, but he has some wounds and infections on his legs, and they just keep coming back. I'm not sure on the cause of the infections, but I am certain their hygiene and living environment is causing them to remain. Well, today, my father-in-law fell again, and it was a repeat of 2023. The fire department, health department, and Humane Society all came along, with the Humane Society taking the 2 cats away again. I mean, they've done nothing to improve the house. I heard my mother-in-law say, oh, it's only gotten worse over the phone when talking to my wife earlier tonight. The health department has marked it with red tape or a red flag or something like that, where the house is not permitted for re-entry at this time. My father-in-law's leg infection has been so bad that he's even had maggots growing on them. Yes, maggots. He was delirious from the fall and is being admitted to the hospital for a few days. And from the sounds of it, it seems like he has some kind of minor kidney injury. My mother-in-law has been discharged, and she does not own a cell phone, and all of her belongings are back at the house, which I'm not sure they can even get in. My wife is on her way to get my mother-in-law and bring her back to our house, but I said no. My wife and I both work from home. We do have the room, and my wife said she will sleep in my guest bedroom, which doubles as my wife's office. But right now, I feel like in the 14-year husband and wife relationship in a house that we own together, my feelings and opinions should be valid, and we should come to an agreement in some way. My in-laws knew in 2023 they had to do something, and you know what? They didn't. And I do not want to be a shelter for that kind of behavior. So am I in the wrong for telling my wife that no, her mother-in-law and father-in-law can't stay with us? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Oh my god, this is so disgusting, it's not even funny. There were maggots coming out of this guy's leg. Like seriously, that is the definition of no, you're never coming into my house. I don't care what kind of thing you're going through, you're clearly not well enough to take care of yourself, and there's no way I'm ever putting that burden on my back. Like seriously, this is so disgusting. These people people live in filth every single day. And now your wife's like, oh yeah, they're gonna come into our house. It's like, no, they're not. What are you talking about? They've destroyed their house twice. Literally 2 years in a row, they've had the fire department, the health department, the Humane Society knocking on their door. Like, seriously, what is going on right now? This is so unfair, it's not even funny. So if I was in your shoes, I would be putting my foot down hard and fast. There's no way in the world they would ever be welcome in my house. They're gonna make a mess of your house as well, and I guarantee you, in my opinion, the second they move in is the second they will never move out. And that is something I would never want to deal with. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for refusing to use all the money my dead mother left me just to pay for her funeral? Because right now, my siblings are demanding that I put all of it into the funeral itself, even though I need that money just to live. Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, my mother passed away a few days ago, and I'm now fighting with my older sister and my older brother about who is paying for the funeral and who is paying how much. Now, normally, you would think that everybody pays the same portion, or depending on their income or savings or something like that. But the problem is that I have no income because I stopped attending evening school because they refused to let me care for my now dead mother while also attending school at the same time. I also have 3 younger siblings. One is 17, one is 19, and the third is 21 years old. But they were really not suited to care for our mother and attend school themselves. That's why our mother always sent me money so that I could pay the bills. For reference, I live with my younger siblings. Because I was better with money than my mother, we had about $5,000 in our account when she died. And since she's now passed away, I'm looking for a job. Now, I know that it's partly my fault that I wasn't better prepared for this, but you have other things on your mind other than looking for a job when your own mother is dying on the couch and doctors are failing to treat her. I mean, she was just sent from one hospital to the next. Now, this is where I might be the jerk. We think that the funeral should cost about $8,000, and my sibling wants me to use the entire $5,000 from my mom for their funeral, which means I can't pay the rent or electricity and water for me and my siblings. I know I have to pay something in any case, which I have already done. I've already transferred $1,700 to the funeral, plus $1,600, which were still in my mother's account. And we still did this even though me and nobody else in this house earned any money, which is something we're currently working on. But they want me to use the entire $5,000 with the argument that this is my mother's money, even though she gave it to me so that I could pay rent and other expenses for me and my younger siblings. Now, my younger siblings and everyone else that I've asked think that it's pretty outrageous to ask for something like that. I understand that you can't just pay for a funeral, but we already have $3,400 together without my older siblings contributing anything. And I haven't even mentioned the hospital bills that we have to pay. And this is because my mom was self-employed and she never really took care of her health insurance, which is something that my older siblings don't even think about. So am I the jerk for refusing to use all the money my dead mother left me to pay for her funeral? Because right now I really don't know what to do. No, you're not the jerk at all. The way your siblings are acting is completely out of line. For them to act like this is somehow your mom's money still, even though she passed away, and that you need to use it for her funeral, like that's so weird and obviously not true. It's for you to use however you want, and clearly you need that to pay for stuff. And I think you're on the right track by saying yes, everybody in the house needs to get a job just so you can try to support yourself. And this is absolutely something you should have sorted out much sooner, but it is what it is. Like, these things happen and obviously you're taking it in stride. But it's crazy to me that they want you to put all this money into this funeral fund, and yet they haven't contributed anything to getting this done. So no, I don't think you're the jerk at all for not wanting to foot this bill, because in my opinion, this is something that everybody should be paying for. Am I the jerk for kicking my friend out of a car, all because he was turning off my dash cam? Because right now, he's claiming that I'm creepy for recording the inside of my car, even though I'm just trying to protect myself if anything bad happens. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I've had 3 cameras put in my car. One forward facing, one rear facing, and one for the cabin. Now, my friend doesn't like the fact that I've had a cabin camera, all because apparently it violates his privacy. I told him that he doesn't have to get in my car for free rides, and that he's more than welcome to Uber or take the bus to where he's supposed to meet up. Well, while I was driving us to a restaurant, I noticed him messing with my dash cam, which is the one I installed in the passenger side. And it was then that I told him to knock it off or I'm kicking him out. And then, during a red light, I checked my dash cam and I noticed that it was shut off. I quickly turned into a parking lot and I told him he needs to leave my car. He said to me, "Seriously, over a stupid camera? You're such a creep for recording us all the time. You don't need an inside camera." Mind you, this is the same dude who can't drive anymore because he has gotten multiple tickets, including driving while using a phone. He then stormed out of the car and cussed me out for making him get an Uber ride home. So am I the jerk for kicking him out of my car after he messed with my cameras? Because at this point, I am still incredibly frustrated. No, you are not the jerk at all. Honestly, I think having cameras in your car is a good idea, especially if you live in like a big city where accidents can happen all the time. I mean, granted, accidents in a car can happen anywhere, but I feel like whenever I've lived in like a major city, that's the one place it always happens. But regardless, having a dash cam of some kind is not a bad idea nowadays. Some people are crazy and they would love to scam you out of so much money, but it seems like you've got that pretty much figured out because you know that you're a safe driver and you're not going to do anything stupid. So on that note, the fact that your friend was trying to shut it down because he's like, oh, you're being creepy. How dare you record me in your own car? It's like, dude, what are you talking about? This is such a weird complaint, it's not even funny. Because in my opinion, this is a great way to prove to insurance that yes, you did get in an accident, and no, it wasn't your fault. And if I was in your shoes, I definitely would have kicked my friend out as well, because the way he was messing with your property was incredibly inappropriate. Am I the jerk for telling my sister that if her boyfriend doesn't start contributing to the household, then he has got to go? Because after not paying the bills or the rent or anything else for quite a while now, I'm now starting to hit my breaking point. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my sister and I have our own house together, and she recently became pregnant. Her boyfriend had nowhere to go and was going to have to move to a very far town away, which would cause conflict for her because she would have had to help with a baby, get a ride to work, or a ride to her appointments. When we discussed it, I told him that as long as he helps split the rent between us, helps keep the house clean, and helps us pay the bills, which is only water, gas, and Wi-Fi, then he could stay. The whole time that he's been here, he's been looking for a job, but he just can't seem to find anything, or at least so he says. So we've been paying the bills and the rent without him contributing. I bought about $800 worth of food and it's almost all gone. I work 16-hour shifts and I'm barely home. So I know it's him that's constantly in the kitchen. Our water bill is $600 because he takes 30-minute showers and he has a whole routine that he has to follow. He also doesn't help clean unless we ask him. And even then, my sister does everything for him because apparently he just doesn't know how to do it. I often clean by myself because they both don't help clean like they should, but mainly it's just him not doing anything. I told her countless times to talk with him about helping out with paying for bills and cleaning, but clearly not much has changed. And I don't even think she's making it seem like it's some kind of urgent matter. I was being understanding and sympathetic at first, but now I'm becoming annoyed and regretful. She's going on maternity leave in March, so I know if he doesn't get a job by then, I'll be stuck paying everything by myself until her disability kicks in, and I'll be stuck cleaning everything because she'll be recovering from childbirth and won't be able to help. So am I in the wrong here? Because right now I don't know what to do. No, you're not asking anything unreasonable here. The boyfriend in this story needs to get a job and he needs to get to work. He's clearly using you and your sister, and that's not fair. And it doesn't help that your sister is basically saying nothing to get this going. So no, you're not the jerk for saying that he's got to start contributing something, because if he's seriously going to freeload, then this is only going to cause more stress in your life. My mom is demanding that I take out all of my savings so that I can spend that money on gas just to travel and visit her, as she has constantly diminished my experience in life while also completely brushing off any struggles that I've had to deal with. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so just a little bit ago, me and my mom were trying to plan how I would come to see her, as I do live about 10 hours away in a different state. Well, she suggested that I take some of my money out of my savings for gas, and then I just drive to her and she will pay me back. So I did exactly that. I put my savings into my checking. Never mind the fact that I only had $300 to my name and only had about $96 in checking and the rest was in savings. And I also had to pay $250 on gas. Now I'm putting this in entitled parents because the stuff she kept saying, I don't remember all of it specifically, but she brought up so many things, such as her saying, well, we drove 9 hours to your graduation in high school, so you can make this no problem, completely dismissing me whenever I said something, even though she had asked me about this. And especially when I kept saying I don't have the money to go shopping or do anything because I'm trying to save to pay my car insurance in January. She would say to me, well, I had it tough too. It's part of growing up. I told her, hey, please don't try to minimize my situation. And after I said that, she blew up at me, telling me that she only had $200 when I was born and how she worked hard and that I'm not the only one who's struggling. I just said to her, I never said I was. And yes, your situation was worse, but that doesn't mean that I'm not having a tough time right now. She then said verbatim what I had said. No, you were minimizing my experience. And I said to her, no, I was trying to explain mine and you overshadowed me. And then she says, well, that I did. Then it was quiet and then she started explaining what road to take. And of course, right after after that, the love bombing started, saying how much she loves me and how she's proud of me and all this other garbage. And honestly, I don't know. I just feel so crazy. And she also wants me to leave first thing in the morning too, so I'm just trying to busy myself packing. Also, I don't live with her or my dad anymore. They did get divorced after all, but I do live with my friend's family, and they have relatives over, so there's no room for me. If I didn't go to my mom's, I would be sleeping in my car for a month. But either way, as I said before, she's paying me back for the gas money, which should be the full $250. And she also said she's giving me a bit more just in case. My main issue with her is that she only thinks of herself when talking about me, and frequently tries to struggle more than me and make me feel like garbage. And you know what? No, I'm not willing to just go along with this. It's either I stay there or sleep in my car for a month. And if I pay $300 to the dorms, I wouldn't get paid back. But my mom is saying that she's paying me back for gas money. And sure, I am getting better in saying no and expressing myself, but I was just sticking up for myself during the call, even though I was upset, because right now I'm still incredibly frustrated. Yeah, this seems really weird that your mom's like, oh yeah, I had it harder than you, and then just completely diminishes anything you say. And it's also funny that when you try to give her a taste of her own medicine, she's like, wow, don't diminish my experience. But it's like, wait a second, that's exactly what you did to me. So I'm right there with you. I can't stand when people act like that, and hopefully she really does pay you back for gas, because from the sounds of it, this really will like completely deplete your bank account, and you do not deserve that in the slightest. Today, I messed up by going on a date with someone from Hinge, resulting in this lady freaking out on me after I decided that I didn't want to date her any longer. Here's what happened. Okay, so about a week or two ago, I matched with a girl on Hinge. She is in the same town as me. She appeared to be my type and have similar interests as me. We chatted on Hinge for a while and then moved on to texting. We had a lot in common, and I found her physically attractive. So I asked her if she wanted to go on a date at a bar or a grill in our downtown area of the city that we lived in. Eventually, we made the plans, and I get to the restaurant last night a little early, and I let her know that I was going to grab a table, but told her I would meet her up front when she got there. She tells me that she's walking up, so I let the waiter know and meet her at the front of the restaurant. Well, a girl who I absolutely did not recognize walks through the door and greets me. After a few seconds, I realized that it was in fact her, but truthfully, probably twice the size of her from the photos. And sure, she wasn't stick thin in her pictures by any means, but she was probably 100 pounds less than what she is now. I believe I did a good job for not looking too shocked, and I gave her a hug and we walked back to the table. We had dinner, we chatted, and I was probably much less chatty than I had been because I was just a little bit shocked. I'm not someone who has issues with somebody's weight, but I am a smaller guy. I'm 5'9" and I weigh about 130 pounds, and I've always found myself attracted to a specific body type, which by the way, she appeared to have at one point, but she no longer has it. Now she was cool and the same person conversationally that I'd been talking to over the phone, but I was not attracted to her physically, and that made me sad. But that really is something I have an issue faking. Eventually, I paid for dinner, I walked her to the car, and we went our separate ways. Afterwards, she texted me telling me how wonderful of a night it was, and how she can't wait to do it again, to which I took some time to respond to make sure I was respectful, and my response was well crafted and not rude in any way. But eventually, I let her know that I didn't feel a connection, and I had a nice evening, and I would love to be friends. Well, she immediately snapped at me. She said to me, "Oh, you're the same as all the other guys. You love the old me, but not the heavy me." She then followed this up with a few more messages detailing her past experiences and trying to explain that if I liked her when she was smaller, why can't I like her now? I truly feel bad, and I didn't want to tear her down or make her feel even less self-confident, but reiterated that I would be happy to continue to be friends and talk, but I couldn't see the romantic angle working. Well, she wasn't a fan of that angle at all, and said she was going to block me, to which I just didn't respond. So today comes around, and for background, I leave my personal phone at the house often as I have a busy workday, but when I come home from the office, my friends are sending me screenshots. Apparently, this girl had some mutual friends of mine, and she had posted on her Instagram story photos of my Hinge, warning her followers to stay away from this guy, saying that I'm a piece of garbage and all this other stuff. Now for reference, I do have Instagram, but usually I don't have it installed unless I'm painfully bored, so I just never saw it. But now I'm definitely going to re-download it to see if the posts were actually true. Well, it turns out she found me on Instagram and she blocked me, but my roommate showed me his phones that the posts were indeed there. I had a few people reach out and ask me about it, but I still feel bad, and I've been very confused about the situation all afternoon, and I wondered if I could have handled it better. She clearly had self-confidence issues, given all of her Hinge photos ended up being quite old, and I hate to think that I contributed to making that worse. That being said, I feel her response has been extremely out of proportion, as I still paid for dinner, I walked her to her car, and explain my position in what I thought was a thoughtful way. And with that, I think I'm gonna take a break from online dating for quite a while. Okay, first off to the original poster, you didn't do anything wrong. This lady is crazy. She basically catfished you with old photos of herself to try and lure you into a version of herself that you don't find attractive. And this is really not about how much she weighs. She could have been rail thin or had a different haircut or something that made her look completely different from what her profile was showing. So the fact that she wants to jump down your throat after you turned her down for literally bait and switching you, like that is so unfair, it's not even funny. So no, you didn't do anything wrong. Because if she's going to lie on her profile about what she actually looks like, then that literally is her own fault and not yours. This next story came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Am I the jerk for distancing myself from a friend after being put in a situation where his ex accused him of cheating? Here's what happened. Okay, I'm part of a university friend group that includes a guy that we will call Jay for the sake of the story. Recently, Jay's ex-girlfriend reached out to one of our friends. Let's call her Katie for the sake of the story. And they told her that Jay had been cheating on her and was hooking up with multiple girls during their relationship. She said that she felt hurt and used. Katie shared this with the rest of us, and as a group, we decided to talk to the ex to understand her side. We spoke with her together, and she seemed genuinely upset. And during the conversation, she called Jay on speakerphone while we were all listening. On the call, Jay sounded dismissive and uninterested in addressing her accusations, which made her story feel even more believable to us. After this, we felt like Jay's behavior didn't align with the kind of person we wanted to stay close to. While we didn't cut him off completely, we decided to keep our distance, though we still interacted just for a little bit. We never shared the situation outside of our group, but we just made the decision for ourselves. Well, a few days later, Jay confronted us. He claimed the entire situation was a social experiment that he created to see if we would protect him or not. We didn't know if it was real or just an excuse, but either way, the ex-girlfriend told him everything about our conversation, including who was there. If Jay was lying about the whole social experiment thing, I don't understand why the ex would share those details with him. It made us question everything, but we had no solid answers. He accused us of betraying him and said that we threw him under the bus by siding with his ex instead of defending him. He also went on to say that university friends should stay university friends and not get involved in his personal life because it's none of our business. He argued that we have no right to judge him or intervene, even though his ex reached out to Katie first. And now we're left wondering if we handled things wrong. Some of us feel we did the right thing by comforting someone who seemed like a victim of toxic behavior, but part of me thinks that maybe we should have stayed out of his business and not involved ourselves as a group in the situation. We still see Jay every single day at university, and it is really uncomfortable, especially since he said he feels betrayed by us. So are we the jerks for involving ourselves in this situation instead of trying to stay out of his business? Because right now I really don't know what to do. Okay, this is crazy to me because Jay is absolutely the jerk. No, you didn't do anything wrong, because in my opinion, real friends don't test other friends. Like, this is pure manipulation at its finest, and you absolutely do not deserve this. And why would you put your friends through this? The fact that he's trying to be like, oh yeah, this is a social experiment. You didn't stand by my side when it counted. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You literally lied to us. If you want to do some stupid social experiment, do it with somebody else. Don't do it with people that actually care about you. That's like a one-way ticket to never having their trust ever again. So no, you're not the jerk and you didn't do anything wrong in my opinion, because your friend is incredibly weird. An entitled old jerk hits my car and tries to claim that it's my fault when the cops show up, despite the fact that he quite literally rammed into me. Here's what happened. So I was driving in my lane as I always do on the way to work. We then came to construction, which makes the left lane need to merge into the right lane. Well, this entitled old man comes up flooring it, trying his best to get in front of me. And as a side note, this was literally for no reason. There is literally no space in front of me, but tons of space behind me. It gets to the point that his front bumper is about a foot in front of mine, but that is it. And then he proceeds to abruptly turn into me. He was moving at such a clip that I didn't even have time to react. Well, he crushes into the side of my car, shattering his front bumper, crushing his fender and door, rips his mirror off, and gets bug old donut on the side of his SUV. We pull off the road and I get to ask him, well, was it worth it? Just to try and gain 2 seconds? Now we're both gonna be late. When I said that, he freaks out on me, screaming at me that he was in front of me, which obviously not, as he hit me. He then looked at me and said, do your brakes work? And it's like, well, do yours? He then refuses to give me his insurance information. That is until the cops arrive. We wait about 25 minutes and finally the cops show up. At this point, he freaks out at her, yelling about how I'm a danger on the road and all this other garbage. And this is because apparently I didn't make way for him. The cop then tries to defuse the situation, and eventually he complies. Well, it turns out his insurance is 8 months expired, and she even gives him a fix-it ticket where he has to bring proof of valid insurance to court or to the station or something like that, or else he's going to get a ticket. Now, here's the best part about all of this. As stated, his 2012 GMC Terrain is pretty messed up, and I thought that my 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz was also messed up. I had marks all down the side of both doors, as well as the fender and the water panel, and I sent the pictures of it to my insurance to get the claim started. Now, they of course deemed it was not my fault, as he merged into me and I had the right-of-way, so they cut me a check for $2,000 for the damages. Well, lo and behold, I decided to wash it at least, just so it will look less bad until I can get it in the shop. I just used some Dawn soap and a microfiber cloth, as well as some elbow grease, and guess what? The car is perfectly fine. No panel warps, no nothing. I guess the GMC Terrains are made out of silly putty, and he just deposited parts of his trucks on top of my wax. But still, I had the shop check it out, and they found a couple of scratches on the plastic which were barely noticeable, and there was nothing for them to actually do, unless I cared about a couple of barely noticeable scratches. So you know what? I just buffed it out. I re-waxed it since I ended up stripping the wax off my doors cleaning them, and I straight up pocketed the $2,000 I got from insurance. So what's the moral of this story? Don't be a jerk for 2 seconds, and make sure that your stupid insurance is actually up to date. Wow, I cannot stand people who act like this. Seriously, this guy hits your car and then tries to pretend like you're the one at fault? It's like, buddy, what are you talking about? This absolutely is your fault. So good for you for keeping your cool and basically getting this guy in trouble, because what he tried to do when the cops showed up, in my opinion, is so toxic, and you do not deserve that in the slightest. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My extended family is mad at my parents for not wanting to host Christmas, despite the fact that they've done it for them for years and have decided to step down from doing it all because of their age. But even though they know this, they are still choosing to be pissed off. Here's what happened. Okay, so my parents have been hosting Christmas and Thanksgiving for several years for both sides of my parents' family. It would be every year for Christmas on my dad's side and rotating hosting on my mom's side. About 5 years ago though, they stopped hosting Thanksgiving. Every year they would go all out with their cleaning. All hands on deck in the house, cleaning every part of the living rooms, the dining room, the kitchen, laundry room, and bathrooms, including a platform no one can see except from the upstairs living room where my nutcracker collection goes. Their house is decently sized, so it takes several hours just to clean it. Well, my parents are older now. I have been moved out for several years, and my sister is gone on a cruise until after the new year. My mom and dad had planned on having a Christmas with just my dad's mom, my Aunt Linda, and my Aunt Carol and Uncle Jay, as well as my cousins and me at our house. Well, Aunt Linda told another aunt, and I guess everyone who knows are pissed about it. Aunt Linda ranted at my grandma about it, and she told my parents that she wasn't going to come. There are a lot of people, and we're talking about 15 people, depending on which part of my family side comes in. Now, my aunt is petty, and we know that she's just being rude because her kids weren't invited. I'm pretty sure when it comes to a reason why Aunt Linda was invited was because I didn't want to have to be the one who was my grandma's ride, because I like to stay for a while at my parents' house since I don't see them that often, and my grandma wants to go home as soon as food and everything else is done. I went over to do my laundry at my parents' house on Thanksgiving because I don't have a washer and dryer, and the entire time I was finishing up the 2 loads that I had, she was asking when we were going to leave, and even put on her coat as I was taking the first load to my car. My mom wants to send an apologetic text to them and explain why they aren't hosting, but I told her to tell them if they want someone to host so badly, then they can host for the family, because they are tired of the stress and effort they put into hosting just to then put as much effort into cleaning up the mess by themselves afterwards. My dad is telling her to not even suggest that someone else host because they should already be volunteering to host, or just not respond to it at all. But I know that my mom will respond, and I know that it will be way too nice to people who don't even bother to keep in touch with them after holidays are over. And honestly, at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Oh man, there's really not much you can do in this scenario, because it sounds like your mom's going to apologize no matter what, which in my opinion, she absolutely should not have to apologize. It seems like the extended family is constantly taking advantage of your parents, and that really is not fair. So hopefully this works out in your parents' favor, because the extended family, in my opinion, sounds incredibly entitled. Am I the jerk for telling my mom to grow a backbone and to literally stand up to my brother and his wife after she let some unnecessary drama happen in the family? Here's what happened. I'm an 18-year-old female, and I live at home with my mother. I have 2 older brothers who are twins, and they're both 24 years old. And for the sake of the story, I'll be calling them John and Tom. Both are married and have a baby. John's wife is 23 years old and we will call her Ava, and Tom's wife is 24 years old and we will call her Gia. John and Ava have been married for about a year, with Tom marrying Gia earlier this year. Anyways, my mom is a little bit obsessed with Christmas. Our family has a lot of Christmas traditions, and we often go all out with the celebrations. The other week, my mom hosted a Christmas film night at our house, which is a family tradition. She invited John and Ava with their baby. She also invited Tom over text messaging, and he said he cannot go as he is working, but suggested that she talk to Gia directly, as she may like to go. Well, apparently this caused John and Ava to go unsettled, and they said Tom doesn't get to choose who goes. And they asked my mom not to invite Gia, otherwise she's setting a bad precedent. My mom chose to accept this and didn't invite Gia, and actually kept the film night a secret from her. Well, recently it all went down, because Gia found out that she had been excluded through a post made by Ava on Facebook. She had plans on that day anyways with her own parents, but said that it would have been nice to have at least been invited. She's very upset with my mom, John, and Ava. Well, I've now been caught in the crossfire, because Gia has been asking me why I didn't say anything to her about this. Tom is also upset with us and said that we are all bullies. This has caused tension between me and my mom, because I feel like I'm being held responsible for what she chose to do. Last night, John came around to get Ava's lipstick that she had forgotten at our house, and he was making very rude, unprompted comments about Gia. He said that she's a dramatic jerk, and that he can't believe his brother is with someone like her. I told John that I really don't want to listen to this, and that I think he's being unfair to Gia. Eventually, after complaining some more, John then let out a sigh and then he left. Well, this caused an argument between me and my mom, because she said that I was snarky to John and I shouldn't be speaking to him that way. I said I thought I was being perfectly reasonable and he shouldn't be so rude. I told my mom she needs to grow a backbone, and that this whole situation is because she didn't have one, and that she needs to stand up to John and his wife. My mom said that I don't know what I'm talking about and that I need to mind my own business. I feel like I'm going crazy here, especially since all of this is over a stupid film night. So truly, am I the jerk in this situation? Because I really don't know what to do. No, you're not the jerk here. John's a piece of garbage in my opinion. Did he seriously think that she would be okay with being left out? Like, what a stupid thing to say by being like, oh yeah, it's gonna set a bad precedent. You should just not invite her. Like, that really is so unfair for Gia. It's not even funny. And the fact that your mom went along with this, like, honestly, that is so uncalled for. So you know what? If I was in your shoes and I saw my sibling talking badly about my sister-in-law like that, and they really didn't think that they were the problem in this situation, then I absolutely would have spoken up as well, because clearly your mom doesn't have a backbone to do it herself, and that, in my opinion, is truly a shame. Am I the jerk for leaving the room, all because my boyfriend and my best friend were speaking about me in a different language? Because right now, I'm wondering if I made this into a bigger deal than it should have been. Here's what happened. Okay, so my best friend came to visit me at college after a few weeks, since we hadn't seen each other in a while. She had made plans for us to meet up and go out after classes, and I was looking forward to it. I even told my boyfriend in advance that I'd be hanging out with her, and he was cool with it too. Now, the both of them come from a place where they have a common language. When she arrived, she met me and my boyfriend in the corridor and immediately mentioned how we would be late if we didn't leave right away. Now, I was ready to go right then and there, but instead she started talking to my boyfriend in their native language, which I just don't understand. I had no idea what they were talking about, though I did hear my name come up in their conversation. They didn't make any effort to include me or check if I was comfortable with them speaking a language I couldn't follow. I even made a lighthearted comment saying, guys, I really need subtitles here, but they just completely ignored me and kept talking. I stood there awkwardly for about 15 minutes while they chatted. Even though she had initially said we needed to leave quickly, I started feeling frustrated and completely unwelcome. So I left the area without a word and stepped outside the building to give them their space. Later on, they picked up on my upset mood and started tiptoeing around me, and I couldn't enjoy hanging out with my best friend later at all. I was upset because it felt like I wasn't needed there, and they didn't seem to care about including me at all. But now I'm wondering if I made a big deal out of an insignificant issue, because at this point, I don't know what to do. Honestly, I don't blame you for getting upset, because this is a rude thing to do. I can understand a quick conversation, but these people were standing there for 15 minutes. Like, seriously, that is so awkward it's not even funny. Not to mention the fact that it's also incredibly rude. And I'm sure that it doesn't help that you're literally hearing your name throughout their conversation, and yet here you are sitting there being like, wait a second, what's happening right now? Why are they talking about me without talking in a language I understand? That in and of itself is not okay, and in my opinion, I don't blame you for being upset, because if I was in your shoes, I would feel the exact same way. Am I the jerk for telling my sister sister that she can't bring her dog to my wedding, even though she claims that she needs it for her anxiety issues. Because right now, my family is divided on this issue, and at this point, I don't know what to do. I'm a 29-year-old female, and my wedding is 2 months away, and my fiance and I are deep in planning. My sister, who we will call Ellen, has a dog by the name of Charlie that she absolutely adores. Charlie is a 4-year-old rescue and has a lot of anxiety issues, including barking at strangers and getting overwhelmed in loud and crowded places. Ellen has been very open about how Charlie is her emotional support and doesn't like to go anywhere without him. And honestly, I respect that. But when she asked if she could bring him to my wedding, I told her no. And here's why. My wedding is in a small indoor venue with around 100 people. It's formal with nice decorations and music and speeches, and I don't see how having a nervous barking dog would fit into that environment. Also, I'm allergic to dogs. Not severely, but enough that if I'm near one for too long, my eyes get itchy and I start to sneeze. I explained this to Ellen and suggested that she hire a dog sitter for the day. Well, she got upset with me and told me I'm being insensitive to her needs. She said Charlie helps her with her anxiety and that asking her to leave him behind for the whole day is completely unfair. She even went as far as to suggest that I was being ableist. And by the way, she's not officially diagnosed with any disability. I tried to stay calm and told her this wasn't personal. It's not that I dislike her or Charlie. It's just that this is my wedding day and I don't want to deal with added stress, especially since I already have allergies. I also pointed out that the venue has a strict no pets policy unless it's a certified service animal, which Charlie is not. Ellen then started to cry. She said I'm choosing a venue over her and then accused me of not caring about her mental health. My parents are divided. My mom says that Ellen needs to learn to compromise, but my dad says that I'm being harsh and that it's just one day. My fiance is firmly on my side, but said I should be prepared for Ellen to hold a grudge. So seriously, am I the jerk for standing my ground here? I feel like I'm being reasonable, but Ellen's reaction is making me second guess myself. What should I do? Okay, this is absolutely offensive because no, you are not the jerk. For starters, you are not being ableist. You're not discriminating against her. You're just trying to plan the wedding. The fact that she tried to make that argument for me is a massive red flag. She doesn't have any diagnosed disability, which means that Charlie is not a service dog. I understand that people need emotional support when they go to some places, and that having a dog like that might be like some kind of comfort. But guess what? Unless it's a service dog, you can't bring it in there. Not to mention that Charlie doesn't sound like a trained service dog at all. The dog literally freaks out in big crowds and starts barking like crazy. And it's like, no, your dog's clearly not trained to actually help you out, but instead, this is going to be a nuisance for everybody else around you. And I really cannot believe that your dad's like, oh, it's just one day, you're being too harsh. And it's like, yeah, it's just one day, but hey, guess what? It's also my wedding day. If there's ever a day that is literally mine, it's gonna be my wedding day. So no, you're not the jerk for shutting this lady down. This is you and your partner's big day, and you should not have to worry about some stupid dog barking at other people, because in my opinion, your sister is being incredibly entitled. Am I the jerk for telling my friends that it's not my problem they can't afford things? Because after they showed up to my house and essentially implied that I do nothing all day for a living, I eventually snapped and put them in their place. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm a 33-year-old male from Australia, and my group of friends have been friends since high school. Once we graduated, many of my friends opted to skip a further education to instead work a job in the trade, or some of them dropped out and work in a warehouse or in a factory. Some still don't have full-time jobs and just job hop between part-time work. Now, there's nothing against those jobs, but they were looking for an easy life and didn't want to spend more time in school. Well, I opted to go through university, while at the same time, I got lucky enough to work in the industry I was studying in. This helped me get a head start in my career, so when I graduated, I already had more experience than the average graduate. It also meant I was waking up at 5 in the morning every day for work and then going to university afterwards, while getting home at about 10 o'clock every single day. Once I graduated and started working, I got a well-paying job. This was immediately more than what all my friends were earning, and I immediately started hearing how I just got lucky with the job, completely ignoring the years of hard work that I had already put in. The younger version of me was just proud to show off my hard work to my friends. So I made the mistake of telling them my wage. Over the years, the comments died down, so I wasn't bothered by them too much anymore. Fast forward to last week, and I had my friends over to my newly built home. As of today, I am single with no children or pets, and I have drastically increased my wage, while also getting new certifications to keep up with my industry. I'm able to afford a lot of things without struggling, and I do consider myself very fortunate. Now, this was the first time my friends had seen the new house, and the comments started up again. How I'm able to afford a big new house, how I'm lucky lucky and how all I do is sit around all day and get paid lots of money, and so on and so forth. I wanted to show my new achievement of the house off, but it all just made me so sour. The comments wouldn't stop, so eventually I snapped. I told them that it's not my fault they were too lazy to try and make anything of themselves, and if they put in any level of effort, they would not have struggled to go out or buy things for themselves, or keep working low-paying jobs. Even to this day, I'm still working and studying to get ahead, but they've all barely changed jobs in the last 10 years. Now, a couple of my friends left because they were angry, and a few others stayed around and understood, but things have been quiet in group chats, and plans for Christmas and New Year's Eve are up in the air. I'm thinking of apologizing to keep the peace, but one of my friends is suggesting that I wait to see if they apologize. So truly, am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now, I don't know what to do. Okay, I need to say this, but your friends are complete jerks. Here you thought you had friends who cared about your life, but they're just sitting there like, wow, you got lucky with your job. How do you make all this money just sitting around doing nothing? And you would think after so many years, they would get it through their head that no, you didn't just get this job out of nowhere. You went to school, you went to university, and you worked hard. So their comments, in my opinion, were completely out of line. So no, you're not the jerk for telling them off. I would have done the exact same thing if I was in your shoes, because you do not deserve that kind of treatment in the slightest. Am I the jerk for refusing to help my sister with childcare after her son bullied my son? Here's what happened. Okay, so I have a 4-year-old who we will call Max, and a husband who we will call Tom. Max was born with cerebral palsy and needs some accommodations. The main two are his crutches for walking and his AAC. An AAC is an iPad or tablet-like device that lets him tap pictures or icons to communicate. Just because he can't physically form the words doesn't mean that he doesn't have meaningful thoughts. He operates and communicates just like any other 4-year-old, and he likes to talk about typical things. Now, my sister, who we will call Jane, has 2 kids. A 10-year-old we will call James, and a 6-year-old we will call Lucy. Jane is a single parent and works longer hours than both me and Tom. So to help her out, James and Lucy take the bus to our house every single day. We feed them dinner and make sure they do their homework and stuff like that. Jane then comes to collect them between 7 and 8 o'clock every single night. Well, Wednesday night, the kids were playing as usual when we started to notice James pretending to walk weird and make strange sounds. And this was exactly the way that Max walks and talks. Tom immediately told him to cut it out, but he kept doing it though, with Lucy laughing the entire time. Max then started to get upset, so Tom called them both out to the family room and scolded them quite severely. He didn't yell or anything like that, but he was firm. James then got very quiet and sat at the table until Jane came. Well, Thursday came along and he did it again. When I asked him why, he said to me that his mom told him that it was okay, and when I heard this, my blood boiled. I told him that he could sit at the table for the rest of the night. When Jane got there, Tom and I took her into the other room. She said that she didn't see the big deal and that he was just joking around. But I told her this was never funny, and if her kid couldn't act right, then he wasn't welcome anymore. She said I was being overprotective and that people were bound to be mean to Max, and he should learn to deal with it early. But I told her that my 4-year-old should feel safe in his own house and that I wouldn't help her anymore. She said to me that I wouldn't dare, and then she took her kids and left. Friday morning comes around and I called the school and I told them not to send James and Lucy on the bus to my house. They offer an after-school program that you have to pay for that goes until about 7 o'clock. Well, when Jane arrived to pick them up, I told her that her kids were at school. She then flew into a panic and left to go get them. The next morning, I started getting text messages. She was saying to me, "How dare you do this? What are you thinking?" But it was then that I reminded her she would have to pay the bill, and her tone shifted dramatically. Suddenly, she was so sorry and that she would talk to James. But I told her that the damage had already been done, and they were no longer welcome at my house. She told me she couldn't afford it, but I said it wasn't my problem. Now she's really upset with me and she might have to find another job. So am I the jerk for doing what I did? Because right now I'm still incredibly frustrated. You absolutely made the right choice here. Your sister crossed a serious line, and the fact that she tried to justify this bullying in any kind of way, in my opinion, absolutely shows that she's the problem. Like, what was she talking about when it comes to Max anyways? She really tried to be like, oh, well, people are gonna be mean to Max anyways. He should just learn to deal with it early. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? That is a horrible thing to say because only terrible people like Jane would actually do something like that. Any rational, normal person with a soul wouldn't think twice about that. What a cruel and toxic thing to say, like seriously. So seriously, I think you did the right thing. Your son Max absolutely deserves to feel safe in his own home, and if those little brats are being encouraged by their mom to bully him like that, then you have absolutely no obligation to ever watch them. My girlfriend honestly thinks that I cheated on her, all because I said that a female female celebrity is attractive. And now I feel like I'm losing my mind because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, this is not a joke. My girlfriend is a massive overthinker and she has anxiety. Earlier today, my girlfriend asked me to name a celebrity that I thought was attractive. Now, I kept telling her no, I can't think of one, but she kept pushing it. And so I just said the first one that came to mind, which in this situation was Sophie Turner. Well, my girlfriend looked her up and saw what she looked like. Then she said that she looked similar to a girl that I knew years ago. For some backstory, this girl had it out for me for some reason and lied to my girlfriend that I cheated on her with this lady, even though that never happened and there's no proof of it. But I digress. Apparently, because they look similar, that proves that I cheated on her. Mind you, this is years apart from that incident, and somehow that was her immediate reaction. When I started to tell her that that's absolutely absurd, she then asked me why I was getting defensive, and that me being defensive over it further proves it. But it's like, yeah, of course I'm getting defensive. I'm getting accused of cheating because a celebrity that I find attractive looks similar to that girl. Now, she did eventually calm down, but she refuses to see that this was a complete overreaction and told me that she hopes I learned from the conversation we had. But seriously, what did I learn? I didn't even do anything. All I learned was to not answer a question or bring up anything like that, because clearly this was a trap from the very beginning. What should I do? Oh my god, this is so annoying. This is right up there with a girlfriend waking up and being like, oh, I had a dream that you cheated on me, so now I'm pissed off at you. It's like, what are we talking about right now? This is crazy. You're not cheating on anybody just because they had a dream or because you mentioned a celebrity that she wanted to know that you found attractive. There's no connection. It's all separate instances. Like seriously, this is so annoying. So to the original poster, of course you didn't do anything wrong. Your girlfriend's acting like a complete weirdo, and you do not deserve this kind of treatment. If I was in your shoes, I would say something immediately and be like, wait a second, this is so unfair. Because in my opinion, this is not insecurity. This is her literally setting you up for failure. You literally could have mentioned any celebrity that you thought was attractive, and I bet you she still would have been like, oh wow, well this reminds me of that one lady that said you were cheating. So no, you didn't do anything wrong, because this behavior, in my opinion, is absolutely unacceptable. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for implying everyone else in my house eats way too much after I discover that my roommates basically ate all of my food? Because right now they're saying that I'm out of line, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, for a bit of context, the 5 of us share a big house. We are all acquaintances, but not really close friends. But I do think they are all nice people that are really fun to be around. We have basically an open fridge policy for groceries, where we all get groceries, and if it's in the fridge, it's free game other than restaurant leftovers. And honestly, I'm totally fine with this for the most part. That is until recently, when stuff I got for my lunches have been disappearing at an insane rate. I got like a pound of ham, turkey, and provolone, and a loaf of bread, and it was all gone in like 3 days. I brought this up by saying, hey, if all this stuff is gone that much faster than I expected, I have to scramble in the morning to make sure I have something I can bring to work to have for lunch. Well, they all said, well, I thought we had an understanding on this. And I said that I do. I'm totally fine with anyone eating the stuff I buy for sustenance. But the issue I have that I brought up is that people are eating it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's getting ran through so quick because they smoke the herb and just stand there and graze. Or when it's late at night, they come down and eat out of boredom. The 4 of them are rather overweight, and drawing this distinction really hurt their feelings, with them saying, well, who am I to say what food is necessary to eat? I then said that I'm not deciding what is necessary, but I mean, come on. You know, eating a third of a pound of turkey straight out of the bag at 11 o'clock p.m. after having 3 full meals during the day is not sustenance helping you get through the day and stay fueled. I still buy ingredients and snacks and make dinners often because I love cooking for people, but I also bought a mini fridge and I keep the stuff I use to make my lunches in my own room. So am I the jerk for bringing this up? Should I have just got the mini fridge and gone about it quietly? Because right now I'm very frustrated and I seriously don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all, because I think context really matters here. Because you hit the nail on the head. If they're using it for their meals, then fine, but the fact that they're eating it nonstop so quickly is completely ruining any kind of planning that you would have for your meals. Because trust me, I get it. You need to have that figured out, otherwise you're going to be scrambling in the morning. And if you can't make your lunches ahead of time, then you're going to be stuck up a creek trying to figure out what you're going to eat for the day. And that's not fair for you at all, especially after you spend so much money buying that food in the first place. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, because in my opinion, I think your roommates are absolutely obviously eating way too much. Am I the jerk for refusing to buy my son a cosmetic in a video game for a grand total of $300? Because truly, I feel like it's a waste of money, despite the fact that my husband is incredibly upset about it. Here's what happened. Okay, so my son likes to play very popular video games. I've never had any issues with it, as he has not shown any concern so far. But yesterday, he asked me if I could buy him something from the game that truly blew my mind. Normally, I'm not a fan of buying things in video games, but since Christmas is coming up, I was willing to make an exception. I was thinking that it would be around $25 or maybe $50 at most, and I could deal with that if it was that much. But no, this thing was $300. It was for some skin or whatever they call it these days, and essentially it was just so he would look cool in-game. My issue is not that I can't afford it because I easily could. My issue is that he wants something in a video game, something that is essentially useless for that amount of money. I mean, with that much money, I could buy something physically that he could actually use. His father is calling me selfish and unreasonable for not buying him this, telling me to lighten up because it's Christmas, and we actually fought over this a lot. I mean, I tried to calmly explain to him that with $300, we could buy him so many bigger and better things, but instead he just blew up on me. I mean, he was much more upset than my son was. In fact, my son literally could not care less, and he just went back to playing like nothing happened. Now, if he threw a fit over wanting this skin so badly, I would understand my husband's frustration, but that is not the case here, because it really seemed like he could care less either way. I told my husband about his reaction, but he's still insisting that we buy this thing. So am I in the wrong for not wanting to spend so much money on this skin in a literal video game? Because right now I'm still very confused. No, this is unreasonable. $300 for an in-game skin? Are you kidding me? First of all, I hate the fact that microtransactions are such a big thing in video games nowadays, because it literally feels like you can't get past the main menu without something like that popping up and being like, hey, buy a skin. But for $300, are you kidding me right now? This is literally a cosmetic in a video game. Nothing digital in a video game is ever worth $300 like that, especially if it's some passive cosmetic that doesn't do anything to improve your gameplay. It's also really crazy to me that your husband's like, wait a second, just buy it. You need to buy it right now. Stop being selfish and unreasonable. And that alone kind of makes me believe that he's the one that wants the skin and not the son. Like, it almost makes me wonder, wait a second, did he set his son up so that he could enjoy this skin for the video game? And he's now getting upset because the original poster won't buy it for their son? And sure, I am totally speculating here, but I seriously can't think of any other reason why he would be freaking out in the way that he is. So no, you're not the jerk in this situation, because your husband is being unreasonable, because what he's demanding is absolutely absurd. Would I be the jerk if I returned a birthday gift from my partner for the second year in a row? Because this is literally the second time he's gotten me something that I literally don't want, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my birthday is around the corner, and my partner surprised me with an outing with some close family members at a nice restaurant, and then we went back to our house to cap off the evening with drinks, a cake, and some gifts. As I opened the gifts, I had a smorgasbord of things that would be enjoyed, mostly small snacks like candies or beef jerky, as well as small gift cards for local food places that I can run to on the way home on longer work days, which is instead of worrying about what I'd have to cook when I get home. So all in all, they know me pretty well. But the problem arises with my partner and his gift giving. He is very materialistic, and he thinks that if the gift is not a big or well-known brand, then it is not worth having or giving. For example, one year he got me a coat with a fur-lined hood that, granted, was a nice coat. It was 100% not something I would have ever worn or even showed interest in wearing in the first place. I'm basically like King Midas's pigpen cousin. Everything I touch gets dirty immediately, hence I tried to buy cheaper things that I do not mind getting worn or torn. Another year he got me a Puma outfit, which consisted of mostly white with some black trim shoes that were a bit too tight, as well as a hoodie that was at least one size too small. I even had to return and get a bigger size shoe, but they did not have the next size up hoodie for that style, which is likely why he got the smaller size at the time. Another time he got me a Keurig coffee maker, which I had heard good things about, but came to realize it was not ideal for me for two reasons. The first reason was that it was much larger than my current coffee maker, and it would not easily fit on the counter under the shelves. And the second reason is that it would either make a single serving cup via a pod, or an entire pot, which felt like a waste, when I would basically just have 2 cups in the morning. For the Keurig, I ended up telling him to return it, but it was already outside the return window because he had bought it way too early and just had it waiting to give to me. So I ended up giving it to his mother instead, who had a small coffee business at the time, and I really thought that was the end of it until today came around. He got me some nice cologne and a nice hoodie, though it was too small again. However, the main gift he got me was another coffee maker. This time a Ninja brand, but almost the exact same footprint as the Keurig, where it will not easily fit under the shelf, and I'd have to turn it sideways where it is teetering on the sink lip for the plug to reach. He's already made the comment about how it was expensive, and that I better not want to return it like the last one. I feigned excitement since we had other family members over, but after seeing how big it is, and it is likely going to be the same issue as the Keurig, I have no intention of using it. I am 100% fine with my $30 Mr. Coffee, and I do not need one with all the different brewing modes and other bells and whistles. So would I be the jerk if I told him I want to return it while it's still in the return window? What should I do? No, I don't think you're the jerk here. I understand what you're talking about where like he means well, but it seems like he's getting stuff that literally will not fit in your space. So if you did decide to return it, I think going with him and finding something that would fit under the shelf would do a lot of good for the both of you, because at least that way he can know exactly what you're talking about and he can avoid this problem in the future. Am I the jerk for asking my partner for proof of his cancer diagnosis? All because I'm pretty sure he might be lying about having cancer in the first place. But now as a result, he's threatening to break up with me, claiming that he doesn't want to be with someone who doesn't trust him. Here's what happened. So my boyfriend and I got together back in 2019. We have moved in together ever since then, and my boyfriend says he was diagnosed with brain cancer back in 2018. Now through treatment and taking pill form of medication, the cancer is gone. We're also in the United States. Now I have seen photos of him where he claimed he was sick, and sure, he does look very thin, but honestly, that's it. I've spoken to mutual friends who said he looked unhealthy during that time, so I wasn't going to assume someone would lie about cancer. I've also never seen him go to some sort of follow-up appointment. I mean, I would be afraid the cancer would return, so I assume you have to see some kind of specialist often. When I'm in the doctor's office with him, he has told me not to bring up the cancer diagnosis. He says it's because he committed insurance fraud in order to receive treatment, and he didn't have the insurance at the time. He has given me the name of the doctor that he saw in 2018 as well as their practice, and it is a local treatment spot, and he has said that they did gene therapy on him. Now, I'm not very knowledgeable with these topics, but I'm also not going to believe someone downright would lie about having cancer, but I do find the lack of follow-ups or further treatment very suspicious. He says his primary care, the medical portal, does not have any information to prove this, and that the only proof would be from the office that he saw back in 2018. But now he is threatening to break up with me because I asked for proof of the diagnosis. He says that he doesn't want to be with someone who doesn't trust him. So am I the jerk for asking for proof? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, seriously, based on what you described, I don't blame you for being just a little bit suspicious. You mean to tell me this guy had brain cancer and then suddenly he's fine after so many years later, and he's not seeing some kind of specialist for follow-ups? Not to mention the fact that he can't produce any kind of evidence that he had any kind of treatment? Like seriously, there's no like office note or something like that? I don't know, if I was in your shoes, it would seem really suspicious, because if he really was lying about having cancer, then I would personally be horrified. And I'm not a doctor, but I don't think I've ever heard of anybody getting over brain cancer with medication, let alone the pills that he's describing. Like, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. So sure, that's a red flag, but also the fact that he admitted to like committing fraud. Like, what's going on right now? This guy does not sound like a good person at all. So no, you're not the jerk for asking for some kind of evidence, because this guy, in my opinion, sounds incredibly suspicious. Am I the jerk for being hesitant to pay my friend back for dinner after she invited me to her house to eat dinner with her and her friend? Because right now she's expecting me to pay for groceries used on the meal, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I have a friend that I'm really close with at college. She's one of those extremely rich international students, and sometimes she acts a bit out of touch, especially with what she did recently. Basically, she wanted to have a cooking night at her apartment, and she invited me and one of her friends to join in. The plan was that we all cook dinner together and then we would all eat. Honestly, I wasn't feeling up to cooking because I had a super long day with classes, so I told her that I won't be able to come. She then sends me photos of them cooking and then photos of the food prepared on the table, and then she called me asking to still join them. Now, I was reluctant, but she was insistent, so I decided why not. So I go to her apartment, and the three of us have a good dinner together. It was actually a lot of fun. However, it got really weird after I went back home and immediately received a text message from her asking me to Venmo her $9.42 for groceries used. My first thought was like, wait, what's happening here? I thought I was being invited to dinner with my friend and not a restaurant. If I knew I was being charged for dinner, I would have had even more reason to stay home. It's even more frustrating because she's eaten dinner at my apartment before, and it never crossed my mind to charge her for it. And I don't know if that's because I came from a low-income background and that I was taught to be kind when it comes to money. I'm trying to make sense of why she's charging me me, and the only thing that comes to mind is that I didn't help them cook and I still ate. And I highly doubt she asked the other person there to Venmo her. Now, like I said, she is very well off. She dropped literally $53,000 on her car all in cash. She's not in some kind of like desperate situation for $9, which makes it more confusing that she would even do this in the first place. Well, she just Venmo requested me, and I really want to know if I'm in the wrong by being hesitant to pay. I definitely will pay because I still value the friendship, but I find this very weird, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Oh man, your friend is a massive jerk. I don't care what kind of financial situation they're in. The fact that she invited you over and expects you to pay for the meal, in my opinion, is so toxic. Why not just say that ahead of time instead of like sneaking up on you and being like, okay, that'll be $9.42, please? Because at that point, I would rather just eat at home. The last thing I need is to be surprised with some kind of bill from a supposed friend. And by the way, friends don't act like this. This doesn't sound like a good friend at all. If my friend invited me over, I wouldn't be like, oh man, I have to pay them for dinner. They would probably be shocked that I'm even trying to pay them back for the food, and would probably just be happy that I came over to eat with them. So if I was in your shoes, I would not take this sitting down. I would say to her, wait a second, you invited me over. If I had known that I would have had to pay going into this dinner, I would have just stayed home. Or at least explain why this is weird and kind of messed up. Because what she's trying to do to you, in my opinion, is very toxic. And if I was in your shoes, there is no way on planet Earth I would ever take this sitting down. Am I the jerk for snapping at my mother after she missed my high school graduation by claiming that she had a headache and that she was too sick to even show up? But despite the fact that she clearly shows favoritism for my younger sister, and she's taken the time to show up for my younger sister over even smaller things than my high school graduation, she now still refuses to see that she did anything wrong. And at this point, I'm incredibly offended and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm an 18-year-old female and I just graduated yesterday from high school. This is a big moment for me, as I struggled a lot with mental health issues that caused me to have to miss a year of school and have to repeat a year and attend my final years of school almost completely online. Overall, I have completely turned my education around and have finished this year with second place in most of my subjects and an early offer to 2 universities, as well as a scholarship. My mother and I's relationship has been strained recently, as her favoritism for my younger sister has been on an all-time high, with her letting my sister be horrible to me and just letting it slide, including my sister yelling at me when I was having a mental health crisis. I went into my mother's room fully dressed early in the morning, and I asked her why she wasn't dressed as she was still laying in bed. She told me that she had a headache for the past 2 days and doesn't feel well. I asked her if she would still come, and she just said no. She didn't say good luck or anything like that. She just continued to scroll on her phone as I walked out. At my graduation, numerous people asked me where my mom was, and my 2 best friends' parents offered to be my family for the day, as my father also couldn't attend due to work. It felt so disappointing having the people who cheered for me as I did my speech and collected my rewards being people that I had known for less than a year rather than my own family. But regardless, I'm incredibly grateful for them. Once I got back home, she didn't even come to congratulate me. She didn't even acknowledge my existence. That is, until I went into her room and she asked me why I was so grumpy. So I told her that my feelings were hurt that she didn't come to my graduation. She said, well, sorry, but I don't feel well. And I told her that this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and that she had pushed through headaches for my younger sister before for other things that were much less important. She now isn't really speaking to me. She still has not asked about how graduation went and barely even acknowledges me. I now just feel so disappointed. We weren't always like this, but our relationship has been deteriorating throughout the year, and I just miss my mom. My older sister said that I need to let it go, as my mom didn't feel well and she said sorry. But I don't feel like this is something a sorry can fix though. 2 months ago, she recently sat in a hot car for an hour after being sick for a week just to attend a sophomore year information session for my younger sister, who by the way didn't even turn up, but even still she couldn't come to my 1-hour graduation inside of an air-conditioned hall. So truly, am I the jerk for reacting in the way that I did and for getting upset that my mom didn't even bother showing up? Because right now, despite it all, I feel incredibly hurt and I now don't know what to do. Wow, this is absolutely unbelievably toxic if you ask me. Your mom not only missed out on the most important day of your life, but she made up this bogus excuse of, oh, I just can't make it, I'm not feeling well. And it's like, are you kidding me, lady? You don't feel well? This is literally one of those monumental moments in somebody's life. Graduating high school is a very big deal. So the fact that she's like, oh, I'm not gonna show up, I have a headache, that is so unacceptable and so uncalled for. Like, you have every right to be pissed off. I know I would be pissed off if my parents missed out on this. Like, I can kind of understand your dad not being able to make it because of work, even though he could have called out of work for an hour hour, but the fact that your mom basically tried to ham up the fact that she had a headache and that's why she didn't want to go, but also didn't bother to congratulate you or make a bigger deal out of this when you got home, that for me would probably hurt the most, because this really should be celebrated. You fought through unbelievable odds just to make this happen, even after having to repeat a year and going through a mental health crisis. So yes, you are completely justified in feeling the way that you do right now, and the fact that your mom chose not to show up, in my opinion, is absolutely unacceptable. My toxic entitled mom is demanding that I gain 25 pounds for my sister's wedding, simply because she doesn't want my sister to look as fat as she does in her wedding photos. Because after I lost about 25 pounds recently, they've all been treating me incredibly different, and now I feel like I'm at an impasse because at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so to provide some kind of context, about a few months ago, my sister and I were both slightly overweight. Not exactly fat, but we both would have handled losing maybe about 20 pounds. So eventually I started working out, and eventually I lost 25 pounds. And I was very happy with myself, and I actually started to feel confident again. However, my sister had a busier schedule, and she never found time to consistently work out. I knew she felt insecure about that because I was noticeably skinnier than her, but we both were able to move past that for a while until she got engaged. Once she got engaged, she really tried to lose weight, but was never able to lose more than a few pounds. And she was really stressing about that, to the point where she would have meltdowns about it. Well, eventually, our mom came to me and started telling me about how much my sister struggles with her body image, and she thought that I should gain back 25 pounds for the wedding, because apparently if me and my sister were together for pictures, she would look fatter than me, and she was really worried about that. Well, I refused to do that because I worked really hard to lose weight, and I wasn't going to lose all of my work. However, my mom was very mad at me, saying stuff like, if you loved her, then you would do what you need to do to help out, even if it's hard. But I still said no. My mom then told my sister, and she's been ignoring me, and my mom said that I could no longer be the maid of honor if I didn't gain weight. So seriously, is this deeper than I thought, or am I seriously in the wrong in this situation? Because right now, I really don't know what to do. This has got to be the most delusional thing I've ever seen in my life. First of all, no, you're definitely not the jerk. These people are out of their minds if they think this is reasonable in any kind of way. Like, let's really think about what they're asking you right now. They're demanding that you gain 25 pounds so that your sister doesn't look as fat in her wedding photos. And it's like, wait a second, what is actually happening right now? This is crazy talk to like the highest degree. Do they really expect you to gain 25 pounds before her wedding? Like, is that really what they're asking of you? Because if they are, then this is truly insane. Just because she's so insecure with her body doesn't mean that you should have to change anything about yours. So no, you're not the jerk for shooting this down, because this truly is a ridiculous demand. And the fact that your mom is in any way suggesting this from the start, in my opinion, is absolutely unacceptable. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Today, I messed up by thinking that my phone was cursed by demons, as I nearly had a panic attack by what I was seeing on my screen. Here's what happened. Okay, so this happened about 2 days ago. So I'm in events and bartending, and it is a silly season, so work has been brutal. I came home from an event having slept maybe 3 hours over the course of 3 days, and I was tired and barely walking straight, not to mention that it had been a really awful night as well. And in the process, I managed to spill a lot of beer down my apron and onto my phone. The phone was okay once I got it out of the cover and dried it up, but even still, by the time I got home, I wanted to cry. So I'm tired and hungry. I decide I want to make some food, and I'm the type that really needs some background noise. So I pull out my phone to put on a YouTube video, I double tap my screen to unlock it, and something is really weird. My entire display is upside down. I then flip over the phone to check the camera placement, and yes, the display is just upside down. At this point, I'm freaking out a bit. Again, I'm so tired, I'm probably on the brink of psychosis, and looking down at my screen right now makes me feel like my hand is perfectly intact but attached the wrong way around. I try to turn it off, but neither the lock buttons nor the volume buttons respond. The screen still seems to be working though, so I double tap and confirm that I can unlock it. When I open my camera, it looks so weird. It's just an old purple haze, but the front camera thankfully still works though. I then start Googling, thinking that this must have happened to someone before, but all I can find are tutorials on how to change your auto rotate. At this point, I'm actually sobbing. We recently had an event where people cloned digital cards, so I'm thinking maybe something happened like that. Did I get hacked? Did I drop my phone and, I don't know, piss off the god of Android operating systems? Is it demons in my phone? Am I just literally so sleep deprived that I've started hallucinating. I'm no stranger to psychedelics, but I've never experienced anything like this. Is it psychosis? Am I having a stroke? It was then that I remembered the beer I spilled down on my apron. Well, I checked, and would you look at that, after I dried off the beer, I put the cover back on upside down. So yeah, that was definitely not a fun night because I was incredibly tired. This is really funny to me because I can see myself doing something like that, where I take the cover off my phone, I'm in a state of delirious sleeplessness, and my brain's like, oh yeah, demons have your phone, this is it. Like, I'm sure someone else out there has had some kind of like weird experience when they were really sleep deprived, because for me, my brain's like, oh yeah, what you're seeing right now is absolutely real. Let's freak out just in case. So to the original poster, I know where you're coming from, because these kinds of experiences, especially when you're tired, can feel incredibly real. Am I the jerk for not telling some guy that I went to dinner with that the research that he was trying to mansplain to me was actually research that I had published? Because after I told him this, he lost his mind, claiming that I was trying to humiliate him. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 33-year-old female, and I work in a very small, technical, specific, male-dominated field. Now, I won't give too much information on it, as I think you could find my identity if I did, but let's just say it's a subcategory of law. I graduated 9 years ago, and I am now a lawyer as well as a researcher. I publish some work here and there, but nothing too major, and no one outside of that field knows my work. Yesterday, I went to a bar with a couple of friends who introduced me to one of their friends who works in the same field as me. I was pretty excited to meet him because it's rare to meet someone who works in that field. He doesn't exactly do the same thing as I do. He's not a lawyer, but a legal advisor, but we do work on the same topics. So naturally, we started talking about our work. At one point, we were discussing a point in which we had different opinions. So I explained mine to him, and he replied by saying that my opinion was based on nothing, while his was based on the work of a professional. And by the way, that professional is me. He basically started explaining my work to me, but in a completely wrong way, and missed all of my points. I asked him if he was sure that that was what the author meant, and he said that it was, because according to him, it was pretty simple actually. For another good 20 minutes, he explained all of it to me in details, like I was some kind of first-year law student. Now, I didn't say anything, because it was pretty fun to watch him say things that were completely wrong with so much confidence. After that, the topic changed and the night went on, but at the end of the night, right before leaving, I decided to tell him that I was actually the person that wrote the work that he quoted, and that he hadn't really understood it in the slightest. Well, he reacted very badly and got very angry with me. He told me that I had manipulated him to humiliate him. He yelled at me for not saying that it was my work at the beginning, but I simply replied that he had embarrassed himself, and then I left. Well, I woke up this morning to text messages from my friends saying that I was wrong for causing drama and tension, and that I could have been nicer to their friend. But I'm not sure if I'm in the wrong there. I mean, yes, I could have told him right away, but is it that big of a deal that I didn't? So am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now, I'm not exactly sure what to do. Honestly, no, you are not the jerk, because the way this guy was acting is completely uncalled for. He was trying to act like some kind of expert on your research, and to top it all off, he was quoting it wrong. It sounds like he was missing the point of a lot of your published work, and in my opinion, I think you handled this like a pro. You didn't get angry or defensive or upset. You simply let him talk and basically dig his own grave. And I think this could have been a pretty tame situation if this guy wasn't such a massive know-it-all jerk about it, even though he was getting it all wrong. His attitude towards you and basically the way he mansplained you, in my opinion, was so uncalled for. So good for you for putting him in his place, because this guy absolutely had it coming. My boyfriend is learning ASL so that he can better communicate with my deaf brother, but my friends all have convinced me that this is a creepy thing to do and that he doesn't actually care about my brother. And at this point, I'm starting to second guess my entire relationship, because right now I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I met John in a college class last semester. He's an overall great guy, and he's very respectful and very kind. He also has a great sense of humor, and we have a lot of things in common. We've been friends since then, and we've started dating this July, and John is the first person I've ever dated in my life. Last September, he met my whole family when I visited home for my brother's birthday. My brother, who we will call Trevor, has been deaf ever since he was born, so my whole family communicates with him either through sign language, Trevor's lip reading, or through text messaging. During our small celebration at home, it was clear that my parents liked John. He was very charming, funny, and respectful. He even tried to connect with Trevor by typing some of his jokes for Trevor to read. Whenever John would tell a story, either I or my parents would sign to Trevor. My parents said that they were happy that I found a sweet and caring guy in John. And of course, I'm glad to hear this. Before we went back, John and Trevor had a quick Call of Duty gaming session. And for someone with Trevor's condition, he is a really talkative guy. He's very expressive and likes to to communicate a lot, especially when gaming. And of course, he couldn't outright trash talk, but he does the closest thing with his hands. So there we were at Trevor's room, with John and Trevor playing while I was translating for them. And I was laughing way too hard, because Trevor was trying his best to trash talk John, like saying that he's weak or saying all these curse words, but I'm trying my best to tone it down just for John. Meanwhile, I'm also translating John's instructions and strategies for Trevor. Also, because this was the first time John met my family, he was saying all these praises to Trevor, like good job or we can do better next time. Although I know that deep inside, he also wants to trash talk my brother. The two of them got along pretty well, and they've been having some online gaming sessions ever since then. Well, 2 weeks ago, John visited home along with me again for my mom's birthday, and there he surprised everyone, including me, by communicating with Trevor through ASL. John was still at the alphabets, some basic words, and some rehearsed phrases, but we were all delighted that he even made the effort. Trevor's face lit up, and I've never seen him happier having a new long-term friend with low communication barriers. Apparently, John had been watching some YouTube tutorials and got a free subscription to Skillshare to learn ASL. The two of them had a gaming session again, and this time, John and Trevor could communicate more directly. Now, of course, it was still kinda slow, and I still had to do some translating, but I could tell Trevor was having a great time. They also got more comfortable with each other, with more explicit trash talking, which I did not tone down this time. John had been religiously learning ASL ever since then, and he's making a lot of progress. Well, I was so happy with this that I told my close friend group from high school. However, most of my friends, especially my closest guy friend, told me that what John was doing was a red flag because it could be a form of obsession and emotional manipulation. He also said it was creepy because John's becoming too attached to my family when we've only been dating for about 5 months. He also said that John might only be doing it so he could get laid or something like that. Now, I know there's some validity to what my friend said, but I'm not really convinced. John has been a wonderful and sincere guy the entire time, and I know it's naive to say this because he's my first ever relationship, but I can see this becoming long-term. Yes, we haven't hooked up yet because I told him I wasn't ready, but he has never pressured me to do it. However, is his behavior something that I should really be concerned about? Again, I don't have any experience with dating and relationships, so I don't know if this is something that's truly concerning. My friends are pushing me to break up with John, but at this point, I honestly don't know what to do. Oh my god, your friends are idiots. Ignore every single one of them. John is not being creepy. He's not being weird. If anything, he's being the best boyfriend you could possibly ask for. Like seriously, you're never gonna find a guy like this. He's kind, he's sweet, he's literally trying to learn sign language so he can talk to your brother. Like that is literally not creepy. That's like incredibly kind. So for your friends, especially this close guy friend, to be like, that's a red flag. He's being obsessive and he's being emotionally manipulative. Honestly, it sounds like that friend is mad that you're not dating him and he's trying to get you to break up with John because he wants you to get with him. Like this is insane. You have a wonderful boyfriend. There's no reason you should ever doubt his sincerity in this situation. So truly, I hope you find some better friends because the ones you do have are idiots. They are complete morons and they don't know what they're talking about because what you have with John is literally once in a lifetime. And if I was in your shoes, I would ignore them and never look back. Am I the jerk for not contributing any money towards a staff gift that was going to the 3 top executives of our company? Because after I found out that our manager was taking credit for the gift, I decided to call her out and put her on blast, completely exposing the fact that she was lying to all of us. But now she's calling me petty, and it's truly making me wonder if I might be the jerk in this situation. Because right now, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so here's the deal. Every year since I started at this job, there is one person that arranges an annual staff Christmas gift, where they ask everyone to contribute $30 total per person towards gifts for the 3 top executives. In the last 2 years that we've done this, the 3 people in management who have been given gifts have come down to our office and thanked that one person profusely for her generosity and how sweet she was to do this. Last year, I asked her if she gave something from just her as well, and if that was what they were thanking her for. Well, she said no, but since she was the one who handed the gift basket to them and wrote the card, they maybe just misunderstood what's going on. It's also important to note that she always does this first thing in the morning and will take the basket from our office and go up by herself, regardless if people say they'd like to join her or not. And then she'd just say, oh, I forgot that they wanted to come with me. Well, I checked with one of the assistants because you know what? I'm kinda petty. The assistant told me that while the card said that it was from the staff, it did say the name of the lady and the rest of the staff, while also saying that the same thing happened the year before. Now, at the time, I did not say anything, and I just made a note of it for this year. Well, fast forward, and this is where I might be a bit of a jerk. This year, the lady once again sent out an email asking everyone to contribute a minimum minimum of $30 per person for these 3 executives. One of the owners retired earlier in the year, but she felt he'd still really appreciate a gift. So I answered the email and I said the following: "Thank you for reaching out regarding this. I have given a lot of thought to this throughout the year, and I've decided to organize my own gift this year instead with a smaller amount, as it's been a tough year financially for me and many others. Perhaps you can edit last year's card to say that this is a gift from you and the rest of the staff, except for me, and then list my name. Thank you and happy holidays." Well, about 5 minutes after I sent the email, she came storming over and told me that I had no right to accuse her of taking credit for the gifts and for not including everybody's name. I then asked her if it was untrue that that's what her card said last year, to which she answered that this is how she's always written the card. Well, apparently she is currently scrambling because a lot of other staff members are choosing not to give her a gift this year, and her friend has told me that it was super petty and not very much in the spirit of Christmas for me to ruin the gift to management this year, while also grumbling about how selfish me and the other younger staff members were who didn't want to contribute to the gift. So truly, am I the jerk in this situation? Because at this point, I really don't know what to do. Oh no, you're definitely not the jerk. Your coworker was clearly stealing credit for all of this, because in my opinion, she was clearly trying to suck up to management. Like seriously, let's think about it for a second. Who in their right mind would get a gift for the 3 top executives of a company? Because I guarantee you they do not know your name or anybody else's name. They could never pick you out of a crowd or out of a police lineup if their life depended on it. So in my opinion, this stuck-up lady is only using the rest of her coworkers to try and make herself look good and be like, wow, look at what I gave you, instead of actually listing everybody's names like she should have done. So no, I don't think you're the jerk at all for not contributing, and I think it was fantastic that you exposed her for the liar that she is, because this kind of behavior, in my opinion, absolutely should be shamed. An insurance company refuses to cancel my parents' subscription to their service, demanding that instead they pay for this month and the next month of a service they don't need anymore. So my mom decided to get petty by calling their bluff in the funniest way possible, resulting in their service getting canceled exactly the way they wanted from the beginning. Here's what happened. Okay, so my parents had a house fire recently, which was no fault of theirs, by the way, and while the house didn't burn to the ground, it is basically a total loss due to heat, smoke, and structural damage. They also have great replacement insurance. While the long wait for restoration and replacement will be frustrating, they are in as good of a situation as one could hope for. They also have one of those appliance service plans where they pay monthly. If any covered appliance isn't working properly, the service company will send someone out to troubleshoot, repair, and if it can't be repaired, then it's gonna be replaced. My parents have the total coverage plan, including everything from kitchen to laundry to the freezer chest and the mudroom fridge. Since the house is uninhabitable, they called to cancel the service and ask about prorating this month. My mom explains the situation, and the rep on the phone says sorry, they can't prorate this month, nor can they cancel the service for the next payment cycle, even though, by the way, they're in the middle of this payment cycle. Basically, it will be 45 more days of paying for coverage. My mom then states they are dealing with the stress of a house fire and living in short-term housing. My mom then says, I understand you can't prorate this month, but can you at least cancel the service for next month based on our situation? The representative says, well, I'm happy to cancel the service effective today if that's what you really want to do, but you still have to pay for this month and next month. Now, I can tell from personal experience, it is a bad idea to get cute with my mom. My mom then says to him, okay, no, we are not going to cancel a service we still have to pay for. Please keep the service in place, and instead, I'd like to file a claim on all of our appliances. After my mom said this, there was a pause. The representative then said, you can't do that on appliances destroyed by fire. My mom says in response, oh no, the house was damaged, but the appliances were not destroyed. Since this plan is effective through next month, please send a service representative out to the house for all of our covered appliances and do any repairs or replacements as needed. There was another pause, and then the representative asked my mom to hold. Well, a few minutes later, a supervisor gets on the line and says that due to the circumstances, they are happy to make an exception to cancel coverage early if she would like. To which my mom responded, yes, thank you very much. So at the end of the day, my parents got exactly what they really wanted, because the way these people were acting was completely unreasonable. Wow, I can't believe that insurance company was acting like that. Here you have literally a house fire and they're like, sorry, we can't cancel it. You have to pay for this month and next month. Sorry about that. It's like, what are we talking about? This is so unfair. You know the house nearly burned to the ground, right? So personally, I love the fact that your mom was like, okay, time to come on out and see the damage. You need to service all these appliances whether you like it or not. Let's file a claim, let's do it. Basically saying she's gonna call their bluff. So good job to your mom for getting this done, because these people were being absolutely ridiculous. Am I the jerk for refusing to house sit for my friend after I found out they got a cat? because I would not feel comfortable going over there as I am allergic to cats, which has only caused my friend to be more angry with me than before. Here's what happened. I'm a 28-year-old male and I agreed to house sit for my friend who we will call Alex while they went on a week-long vacation. Alex has a dog that I've always loved, and I thought it would be nice to help him out. I even took some time off of work to make sure I could give the dog plenty of attention. Well, a few days before Alex left, I went over to get the house keys and a rundown of what needed to be done. And that's when Alex casually mentioned that, oh, by the way, we got a cat. This took me off guard because I am very allergic to cats. Alex knows this. I've had to leave gatherings early before because of my allergies. I asked why they hadn't told me earlier, and Alex said they forgot because they'd only had the cat for about a month. Well, I told Alex I couldn't stay in their house if they had a cat, even if I avoided it, because the dander would still trigger my allergies. I then suggested they ask someone else or hire a sitter. Alex then got defensive, saying I was leaving them in a lurch right before their trip. I felt bad, but I didn't think it was fair for Alex to spring this on me last minute. I offered to check in on the dog daily if they could isolate the cat in another room, but Alex said that wouldn't work. They ended up scrambling to find someone else, and they left for their trip very angry at me. A mutual friend later told me that I should have sucked it up for a week because Alex really needed the break and probably just forgot to mention the cat. At this point, I'm starting to feel that I might have overreacted because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, first of all, you're not the jerk in this situation because this is so unreasonable. You are literally allergic to cats. This is not a situation where you don't want to be around it because you don't like cats. Your body literally has a physical reaction to the dander from a cat. So the fact that your friends are not understanding that or even beginning to see where you're coming from is crazy to me. So no, you're not the jerk in this situation because this is absolutely something that Alex should have told you. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.